Sonny, we can't hear you. We can't hear you at all. You're muted. You are muted. You're muted. You can't hear me at all. I heard my music, but you can't hear you. That's why you should test this ahead of time. Hi, everybody. This is the Podfather. I am here in the man cave, waiting for Sonny to get his act together. Oh, you can watch this show feature sponsored by Mint Mobile. Apparently, Sonny's getting a hell of a deal on them. Not sharing that with all of us. So there's a lot going on here that we are not quite familiar with. But having said that, this is the Gas Potato Sports Show at 10 o'clock, not 9 o'clock. So you only get 2 hours of me, but you get 3 hours of Sonny. So brace yourself. Hopefully we'll be able to hear him by then. We'll never know. But so much going on in the sports world. So much I can tell you right now. I don't know what's going on in the sports world. Nothing at all. You're still muted. You're still muted. Get over it. You're still muted. You suck. I still can't hear you. Oh, Sonny getting upset. I can't hear you at all. So anyway, we're back to me. More me. I am the pick'em champion from last year, folks. That's right. I picked all the winners last year. It's like Donald Trump. I picked all the winners last year. I'm the biggest winner there is. What can I tell you? But no, can't do that anymore. It's a horrible debate we had to sit through. But anywho, come on, Sonny. This is why I don't do a show on my own, okay? This is why we need you to get your shit together. So, anyway, the forecast out there is hot, really hot. It's that time of year, and it's only June. Oh, joy. We already have fireworks going on. Great. More fire. I live in a box house out here, too. So we're going to go up in smoke when it's all said and done. I got 2 tickets to go see Jerry Seinfeld come up here in 2 weeks. Looking forward to that. He's a bucket list comedian of mine. I've seen George Carlin. I'll say. I hear you chewing. That's about it.
How you doing? Good to see you, my friend. How's it going?
You should test this shit ahead of time, you know?
Okay. Well, okay. I actually have an excuse. All right. about 20 minutes before we came on air, I took the dog out so we can, or 30 minutes, I took the dog out, so we could do the show and I not interrupted. On the way in, there was a cat there that was very malnutrition, very dehydrated. So I rushed out there with some food and some water for him to drink before we came on. So I did not get the opportunity to test it. So, but that is my reasoning on why my headphones weren't working. But good morning, sir. How are you doing this fine, wonderful Sunday?
Awful. No, I wake up with these, and I went to the doctor this past Thursday. I've
Yeah.
been, trying to get my levels back in order and everything else. And I've started my journey to Ozempic here for the last 2 weeks. I've lost about 8 pounds.
Wow.
But the thing is, though, is that I still have these headaches when I wake up, and I've had them before I had started Ozempic. And I'm always like 4 Advil in before I start this show, just so then you're going to yell at me the entire
And
time.
then I come in, right?
And then you drag ass and don't have your sound going. I'm only here till 12, sir, and you're here till 1. So just saying.
Yes, and that's mainly because Cuervo will be coming on here fairly soon. So we adjusted so we could get more time with Cuervo as well, since we don't get him often. And I seen that you messaged me, but I haven't read the message because I was doing the thing with the cat. So what
I
was
was
the
just
message?
I was just saying I was ready to roll. That's all I was saying.
Gotcha. All right, very well.
You
So
like
that
my
being
shirt?
said,
You like my shirt? It's a walking HR violation. District
hey,
where
yeah, something like that. By the way, I saw your picture that you sent out, which by the way is an actual pretty decent image, and I'm uploading it now. Give me a second here, as that is coming. It's taking a second to.
are you talking about the NFL realignment if it ever happened?
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah,
actually I actually
I want to
like
talk
that.
about that. I want to
Yeah,
talk
get
about that because
so start talking about it. I'm almost done with getting the picture up. It seems like I'm
okay.
going to try to reload it. So go ahead. And but I did like the I but the AFC and NFC was kind of the interesting thing on how who they figured who's going to be AFC and who's going to be NFC.
Right. I'm sure it's a pick'em thing. But yeah, I mean the thing is though is that forever they've always said that the NFC East is so out of whack because why are the Cowboys in the East? And that's
Exactly.
that's that's fair. But they have the rivalry thing and then the Giants and the Eagles and the at the time Redskins, so you don't tear that up. Nowadays there's no Redskins, so
Ex-
what the hell?
Well,
But
Commanders, yeah.
with the league having all the expansion they've had, I don't think they're gonna expand anymore that we know of. So what would the league look like if they decided to expand it now? And I thought this was kind of cool to where, as you can see, the Cowboys have moved to the AFC, where they'd be in the
Yeah.
same division with the Texans, the Saints, and the Falcons.
I kind of like that. I kind of like that division. I like the fact that you got two and the Saints being close. Atlanta's a little bit far. However, I think that, kind of, graphically works, geographically anyway,
Right.
works as far as where it's at.
The cool thing is that you can have a known rivalry with Dallas and Houston,
Hmm.
which we always think there is one, but there really isn't. And I
You
mean,
would
and that's
think
just
there
from
should be.
right. There might be more of that with baseball than there is in football and basketball. But if you look at Cuervo's Bears, I mean, he take on the Colts, the Bengals, and the Titans. I mean, I see the rivalry with Indianapolis because they're right next to each other, and
Exactly.
they played Super Bowl against each other.
Hmm.
The
That too.
Bengals, yeah, they're in proximity, and the Titans would give their furthest traveling partner they have, I guess. Um, Look over at Bryce's Steelers. You got the Bills, the Patriots, and the Eagles, and now once again the known Philadelphia Pennsylvania rivalry between the Steelers and the Eagles is pretty enticing.
Right.
And I mean, it looks like they tried everything they can to accommodate states that got multiple teams.
Right. Like
except for
AFC
Ohio.
West on this
Yeah,
page, I think is
ex-
really good.
except for Ohio, because they tore apart the Bengals and the Browns, and they put them both in the North, but one's in the AFC, one's in the NFC.
Yeah, well, Cincinnati is a lot higher than Cleveland, so that's the reason why you see the split
Well, no,
between
no,
them being in the North and in the South.
actually, Cincinnati is in the southern part of the state.
Oh yeah, I got him backward. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. Which, by the way, I've driven through Cincinnati before. It's a really cool city to drive through. Let's see here. You got the Jets and the Giants in the same division.
Yep.
And of course, Washington and the Baltimore Ravens, which is out of Maryland, so that would make sense.
Travel
Oh
wise,
God,
man,
yeah.
if they figured that out, they save so much money just in travel.
I'll
But
say,
at the same time, the NFL tries to go outside the realm of that. I don't like the alignment the way it is. It's just the way it's been because that's how they got it aligned. But I did like.
if you go back to that real quick, hold on a second. Go
Sure,
back to
yeah.
that real
Give me a second. Let me
quick.
click the button right there.
Right there. See, in what I like is like in the NFC South, the Dolphins, Jacksonville, and Panthers, and Tampa. So 3 Florida teams and a Carolina team. Now, Carolina's a little further up north than those other 3 teams,
Right.
and whereas maybe Atlanta would have benefited for that one, really, but then what do you about the Panthers?
Exactly. Unless you
Yeah.
moved them up
So
just a little bit in the AFC North, but I kind of like the way the North is. I Tennessee is a little bit closer to the other teams, obviously, than Carolina, so that's the reason why you kind of see that. But that's a great alignment. And I always thought that they should do something like that. But then again, this is not a league that they don't have money or they have to watch for money or things of that sort. They've got all the money in the world, set up there. So for them to fly there to there, it's probably not much of a difference. So it kind of puts it in there. But I do not like the cross country things because it really does affect the team going in when
well,
you play East Coast to West Coast big time.
I'll go one further than that. I think what they should do is what baseball used to do back in the day: have every conference just play teams in their conference, and then when they meet for a Super Bowl, that's when they take on the AFC and the NFC. They never face each other in the year, except for maybe preseason. So they would have that opportunity to have that one big meeting, and it would take apart the NFC AFC televised games, to which is your biggest fight between Fox and CBS. But
Yeah,
but then at the same time, you can also keep, okay, here's all the Fox games here. This is all because everybody's in the same conference. Here's
right.
CBS, same thing. Then of course, the winner of the Super Bowl bids for the broadcast would get to showcase a big game that year of 2 teams that had no way of playing each other unless preseason happened. So I would like that. Well, because honestly, interleague baseball has killed baseball for me when it comes to especially the World Series.
I
Okay, I
agree.
mean, I thought it was cool one time, but now that time has kind of passed, and the NBA should think about that too. Because yeah, there's several ways you can do it, but I mean, like, okay, let's say for instance, if you are in the AFC, I can't have the teams memorized, so bear with me here. Let's
No, I'll
say
pull it back up for you.
Okay, let's let's say you're the Kansas City Chiefs. You just won the NFC West. Okay, you've gone through everybody you could. Yeah, you could this year, but in the winner of the AFC South would be, let's just say, the Texans. So to finally have that matchup between the Texans and the Chiefs, maybe that's been ruined all year long. But we couldn't
Right.
get to it because record wise and division wise and everything else. I think that would be a very, very big interest that we can get into. But again, they're not going to do that because there's more money involved with the cross promotion of all the different
Yeah.
teams and how you got to play each other and yada yada. But I think it would leave up the idea that let's say, okay, well, let's say it's my idea. The Cowboys play their 3 teams and they're sent in their division twice like they normally do, right?
Right.
So there's 6 games there. You got an 18 games schedule. So let's say they take on two teams. Good morning, Toya.
Good morning,
Let,
Toya.
let's say they take on. I'm trying to do the math here real quickly. We got six, and then to make 18, they have to play 12 of them. So that actually kind of works out. They play their division twice, and everybody else once
Right.
in their conference. Well, that's perfect because
I
then you have conference records.
Yeah, well, and depending on how many games they're going to have too, if they're going to expand out to the 18 instead of the 17, which
Right,
in
that's
turn would
true.
go the two games that you're talking about, and then they
Yeah.
can flip the other two each year. It and I do. And by the way, thank you for finding the graphic. And if you, by the way, if you ever find any graphics that you want to talk about, just let me know. Send them to me, and we'll put them up.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all I do is just find them and for talking points. But
Oh,
as
I know.
far
Oh,
as
I
where
know.
the well, yeah, well, as far as the NFL is concerned, it's the NFL. They have such a popularity that there seems to be, and we're going to talk a little bit later about a court case that came down. And we're going to talk about that when Cuervo gets in because he wanted to talk about it. So we'll roll back to that. But the popularity of the NFL, take a look at this. I mean, this is what's going to happen in December. By the way, this is kicking off in December, the mid-season Hard Knocks. So what they're doing is adding four more camera sets for that middle of them. They did there, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Arizona Cardinals last year. No,
Mm-hmm.
it was a team that was going for the playoffs. It's just slipping my mind, but either way, now it's four teams that they want to move forward. And actually, I kind of like that a little bit more because I to get the idea of what other teams are doing. You only when they were first doing it, you got one team for the whole season. That's it. Now with them putting the mid-season show together, you got another, so you got two. But when on the mid-season one, adding the other three teams within the division for the next 4 years, I mean, you pretty much set up a pretty good program, which in turn probably, if that is successful, you might see four teams in the Hard Knocks and before the season as well. So I think it's going to be a really interesting setup that they got going on.
How far away are we from having HBO Max telecasting games?
Probably not too far. Hey, listen, the NFL has become such an entity that they're being punished for being so popular. And the funny thing is, the court case that we're going to talk about here a little bit later, I'm so against it. I mean, and we'll talk about it, but I hate the fact of what happened in that. But the popularity, what you were talking about maybe a couple of months ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, is having a team set in another country being a part of the NFL week in and week out. And I can see how that works in I can see how it works in reality, as far as having two teams overseas more so than just one, or having certain teams go over. I think the more I think I was against it when you brought it, but the more that they start doing things like this, and the more they start expanding, the more they start doing, different things. I think I'm liking the idea, but the problem is they're going to have to set up and I think that will be definite if they go to 18 games. I think it's a definite you're going to have two more teams added, but it's not going to be here in the States. I think they're going to go out of the country. But they're going to have to work with the schedule for the teams that are going over there. They have to have the bye next week. That it's bad enough if you're going East Coast to West Coast or vice versa, or West Coast to East Coast. Imagine it even being further. I mean, you're talking about being on a plane for 25 hours in order to get to some places and stuff like that. So I think
Or
they're going to have to make those
or
adjustments.
unless they do one team in Canada, one team in Mexico.
I don't think that that will work as far as Canada is concerned with their own league up that way. And Mexico, I don't think it's enough. I don't know if they would have enough draw to get the money they would want.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what
they
I'm
would.
saying?
Yeah,
You,
they
you
would.
you think so? I don't.
Yeah.
I think if they're in London, if they're over in Germany, those are the places where they'll make more money in
Well,
reality
first of
running
first
the
of
NFL
all,
there
first
week
of
in and week
all,
out.
what would generate more money? Having NFL teams, say in Toronto or Vancouver or wherever else.
Mhm.
How much money do you think an NFL team would draw up there than a CFL team draws up there right now?
Well, I get that, but I don't think Canada would want to kind of have someone hone in on their territory up on what they have, which by the way, if you watch it, and I do, I can't tell you the name of players and stuff, but when there's nothing on, I will watch a CFL football game. That also being said, a lot of the indoor football players go up and play there. But to have the NFL invade their areas, I think it would be a detriment to their league, and I don't think they would do it. That being said, that's just a quick opinion. We got him in the green room, and he is here.
Can't see me.
We can actually see him now. Hold on. I don't know. Oh, wait, hold on. Can it, it is. It's Cuervo. Hold on. Let me get that thing out of the way so we
You can't
can
really
fully
tell he's
see
being
him.
ignored by a sponsor.
Hold on. Boom. We can do that one. There
You
we
would
go.
think
Hi,
he'd
yeah.
have you think he'd have you all taken care of.
I need someone to produce the show to get it all set. Good to see
No,
you,
I'm gonna get
Cuervo.
off and we're gonna try it again. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna get off. We'll try it again, Sonny. You got to
Oh,
get it
is it?
right.
All right. So
No,
get it. Get. I
I'm
can do
good.
it.
I'm good.
Okay. He's okay. All right. So he says he's good.
I'm fine.
So how you doing,
How you
man? I
guys
haven't
doing?
haven't seen you live. I mean, you're a busy guy. And I don't have the pictures, and I'll get them. But you made a special trip to an NFL football team here just not more than a couple of weeks ago. Talk a little bit about what you saw over there in the Chargers training camp that you attended.
Yeah. So the Chargers were really. It was really cool of them to come on base to Camp Pendleton, in Southern California, right where I live, and they just put on a little practice session. There was no pads involved or anything like that. They were just in practice jerseys. I mean, it was basically a walkthrough. The offenses did a little something. You had the first team offense on one side, second team on the other. They're running through some plays, doing some basic stuff, and then the defense went out there. They did like some 7-on-7 type stuff, some special teams, and then after that, it was a free for all to get autographs and pictures and stuff like that. So, um, you know, I know everybody knows who Jim Harbaugh is if you follow the NFL, but some people may not know that he is a very pro military guy. He's got friends. His dad, the family has a lot of friends that are high ranking people in the military. I know this personally, but yeah, so he's very like pro military. He loves doing stuff for service member. Yep, that's it right there. Me and Coach Harbaugh. So um, he's really about the military. So that's why the Chargers came out, and I appreciate them coming out, and I'm sure a lot of the service members do too. So
So
it was
was
really
that
cool.
so that was for the military for basically military people only when they did that?
Yeah. So I mean, they like I said, they came on base, and they
Ah,
practice on the
okay.
on the field that we have. Because they had there's leagues on base where units, military units compete for it was called the Generals Cup and stuff like that every year. And so the base has a football team themselves, and that's where they have the games and stuff. So yeah, they were on the field practicing.
Hey, that and that was, it was a cool opportunity, obviously, to get through there. Did you get an opportunity to speak to him, or is it more photo op kind of thing because of how many people were there? Were you able to speak to him at all?
Not really, Sonny. I mean, I had literally a printed out copy of a picture of him, and when he played for the Bears. I was like, "Hey, coach," I was like, "This is all I got. Do you mind signing it?" He was real cool. He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." So he signed my picture, and I told him, I was like, "Hey," I was like, I'm a big fan. I watched you growing up in Chicago in the early '90s. Like that's how I know who you are." And he's like, "Oh, that's awesome." So yeah, it was a real quick interaction. Got a quick picture with him, and that was it. It was a crowd of people everywhere. Obviously all the big names had the big crowds around them. Him and Justin Herbert. Everybody was pretty much mauling him, and um, I was a little disappointed because I actually wanted to meet Khalil Mack, and I wanted to at least get a picture with him, but he was nowhere to be found after the practices.
Why
So
was he not? Why was he not at
I
the
don't know.
practices there?
I have no idea, Sonny. I saw him out there. I got pictures of him on the field, but after the walkthroughs were done, I wanted to see him and at least get a picture with him, and he was nowhere.
Interesting. That would have been cool for. Whoop, wrong button there. So that what? All right, there we go. That being said, I got that picture of you as well. On the with the cutout. So what was the cutout or the magazine again that you had? Where
The magazine.
you had like a picture of him or something?
Oh, son, I literally just Googled Jim Harbaugh, Chicago Bears, and I printed it at my office at my job, but printed off a picture of him.
Oh,
He
okay.
was
So it's not
in a
like a
Bears
picture that
uniform.
you had for years because he was a Chicago
Uh-uh.
Bears guy. So here it
Yeah,
is
that
right
one.
there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
literally printed off of
off a
off the
printer.
internet.
Ten
Yep.
four. All right, very well. So look at you. So that being said, do you think you could get any kind of idea about how the team looks based upon what they did there, or was it just kind of for show kind of thing in reality?
It was definitely
what was your take from it? What did you
it,
see, if anything?
yeah, it was definitely for show, guys. I mean, you can't evaluate anything off of what they did. I mean,
Gotcha.
it was
Okay.
when I mean basic, I mean like real basic, you know, Trey's back to throw, and you and I are running the route, and he's just throwing to us, and that's basically it. It
Well,
was real basic.
I don't run routes. I roll routes because I'll start running, then
Well,
start rolling.
whatever you want to call it, Sonny. But
but
Start scrambling. I don't hate that.
yeah,
hey,
right.
put me and Trey as outside tight ends. There you go.
Okay, well then there you go. Then I'm throwing to you guys. You guys are
There
just
you
running
go.
little
Hey,
5 yards
in
out,
high school, I
and
was a wide receiver. Not a good one, but I was a wide receiver, so I got you. I
Well,
can do
there you
that.
go. So I'll have to say I did not necessarily know that about Mr. Trey Mack. So interestingly enough, but
I was
I want to put this back up as we were talking about before you came on air. So I want to pop this up, and this graphic is from Trey Mack. He sent that over to me, and I thought it was really interesting about how he and what he had. What the person whoever put this together was on it, and look at your Bears playing Indianapolis and the Bengals and the Titans. I mean, I actually kind of like that. Just the sound of that sounds really good. I hate my division with the Jaguars because the simple fact of the matter is that we've seen them play a lot. I wanted to see them play somebody else. But I mean, when you take a look at the graphic here, as far as geographically for some of the team, do you like the setup or do you hate it, or you haven't had enough time to take a look at it and say, well, I like this or I hate that?
I mean, I'm pretty neutral, Sonny. I mean, I don't love it or I don't hate it. Geographically, yeah, it obviously it makes more sense. I mean, what is it? 200 miles between Indianapolis and Chicago. So
Right. I don't even
it's
think it's that much, but
I
yes,
don't even
you're
think it's that
correct.
much. It's like a 2 hour drive, 3 hour drive. So,
Gotcha.
um, I mean, yeah, I mean, like it says, geographically, it makes a lot more sense. it would be weird. You know, you would take some time to get used to those divisions being like that. But I mean, it does make a little more sense
A little bit
to
more.
have it like that.
A little bit more. So now, lots of
Well,
things that are going on. Go ahead, Trey.
I mean, I take it one farther though. They should do what the MLB used to do back in the day, and not have interleague play. So they should play by in a conference, and then the winners of each conference play each other in the Super Bowl, to where they don't have a chance to play each other at all during the season, and they just they have the big games lined up there in February to play each other for that one time. But that's a thought.
Really quick, I want to ask Cuervo this. I asked Trey about it. If they do go to 18 games, which, by the way, from what I'm hearing, that's 80% going to happen within the next 2 years. Do the other two teams that they add doesn't it make sense for it to be out of the country? 2 teams out of the country, or do you think trying to figure out a way of putting them here in the geographic of the United States for it is better for them? What do you think?
Well, man, I think there's plenty of cities here within the United States that could definitely, logistically and financially support an NFL team. I mean, I think there's a very obvious one, guys. If you think about it, I think putting a team back in St. Louis, they'd be able to fit in right away.
I think you're right.
The other, a second one though, I mean, that's tough.
Two swims with that though. They've had 2 swims with that though, with the Rams and the Cardinals. I mean, if they weren't willing to pony up the money for new stadium for them, then I don't see them doing it now.
Oh, I think you could say the same thing then about LA. I mean, they were in and out of LA with 2 different franchises.
LA and St. Louis are different cities, and we're talking the media capital or the entertainment capital of the world compared to St. Louis.
Well, at one point, Cuervo, they never thought they would get a team back in LA, right? I mean, that was always a big story. When LA went to St. Louis. In reality, the Rams went to St. Louis. No one ever thought that they would get another team there. So much so, when the LA Kiss went there, they thought it was a big thing. In reality, it wasn't. They couldn't draw for indoor football, but drawing for an actual stadium for the Rams and things of that sort, that was always something that they never thought they would be able to do because of what was going on in LA all the time.
Yeah, you know what though, I think the reason it happened, and I'd raise this question to Trey, well, both of you guys, is I think the reason that it was able to happen, teams back in LA and to kind of follow on with a team in St. Louis, don't you think that St. Louis is looking at the state of the NFL now compared to when the Rams left St. Louis to go back to LA, with how much more money is being renovated? I would think that St. Louis would be like, damn, if we have an opportunity to get in that, let's do it. Because, well, how long ago did the Rams go back to LA? What has it been, like 15 years now?
Yeah, I think you're right. Around 13, 15, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, so what the NFL was then, and it was making a lot of money back then too. But you think about what it is now. St. Louis has got to be like, okay, we got to be stupid to not get in that if we have an opportunity to do it.
Yep.
This stinks. This is total BS.
It's like it's a big investment, but as the saying goes, you got to spend money to make money. And that's what St. Louis is going to have to do. It's up to them ultimately, and I understand Trey's point, and he's absolutely right. They've had 2 opportunities. They blundered it because they wanted to be cheap. If they choose not to do it this time, or they get an opportunity and they just don't want to do it, that's on them. But
I'm trying to think of other cities that'd be interested in an NFL team, though. I mean, outside of St. Louis, I mean, Portland, maybe.
I don't know if they could. Based upon the pop, I don't know that. Well, you know what? Who knows? It's the NFL.
I would say maybe San Antonio, because I remember when that
Yeah.
idea of the Saints going down there. I think it was
Mhm.
during COVID, if I'm not mistaken, or when Katrina happened. I think that's when it was. And
Mhm.
San
Well,
Antonio was talking about bringing them down there.
as I threw out here before you popped on here, I don't rule out Canada or Mexico from having a team, because if you want to have not necessarily the international flair, but the idea that they're not having to travel 25 hours out of the way to get to their next game, and it's well within North America, Canada and Mexico would have two viable options for them.
Yeah. Or hell, Sonny, right down the road from where I'm at. I mean, I'm sure San Diego would like to have an NFL team back.
Yeah,
That's
bring
true.
back the real superchargers and make them change their
Yeah,
name.
right. Yeah, but no, but you're right though, Trey. I mean, maybe Mexico, because you can drive there. You could drive to Canada. But do you think Canada would be cool with that, being that they have the CFL? I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if they'd be.
Then you get into the whole monopoly thing. I mean, can the CFL have monopoly in their own country, whereas here's the NFL saying, "Look, we're for everybody. We go to Europe, we go to Canada, we go to Mexico, we go to everywhere else. Why not? I mean, and look, if it's just for one team, I mean, as I was telling Sonny, think of how much one NFL team would generate in Canada, and say Toronto, okay, their biggest city, compared to what the CFL draws all year long."
They'd probably compete with the whole CFL.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So I mean, and by the way, we all know the CFL, indoor football, USFL, XFL, whatever the hell they're calling themselves nowadays. They're all subsections that get you to the NFL, one way or
Right.
the other. Some just do well in that one league. Doug Flutie was a CFL All Star for all he was. Couldn't really do much in the NFL, but did a lot in the Canadian Football League. There are those who are just happy being, the best minor league baseball player there is, as an old saying would be. But sometimes, if you have the opportunity to grow the NFL through Canada, places like Toronto, Montreal, Edmonton, Calgary, places like that, I think they'd find a way to put a team there and have it make a lot of money. Given that it's the NFL, you bring a Super Bowl to Canada. Oh my God, the
Oh,
amount of money!
yeah, that would be that would be very and kind of getting an idea, Trey, with wrestling, taking that to Canada has always been big. Did they have a WrestleMania in Canada or no?
They had two of them. They had
Toronto, yeah.
WrestleMania 6. They had WrestleMania 6 and WrestleMania 18.
Yeah. So
And I mean, and WrestleMania weekends, by the way, it's a 2-day event, but it's a
now it
week
is.
long. It's a week long deal where they get to town on Tuesday. They set everything up. You got Hall of Fame. You got your SmackDowns. You got your WrestleMania Night 1, Night 2. You got your Monday Night Raws. You got all the news media people coming in, the ESPNs of the world, and the whoever else are coming in to cover that one event. So imagine the Super Bowl.
Right.
Not that Cyril's going to play in 2 days, but I'm saying,
Imagine how much bigger it could be in reality.
yeah. So
If they,
I think Canada would love that.
yeah. I, I
Tourism.
I think London and Germany would be the places where they go. I think they'd make me personally, and obviously I'm not a financial genius, but I
Well, you
think
ain't
the more
traveling. You
money would
ain't
be.
traveling zone either.
Hey, my classic art right there. Dogs playing poker. I'm a connoisseur of art, but take away from that. I just think they'd make more money over there as far as that is concerned. But who knows what I know? But now this week we had some great conversation in the chat room. No, within the hosts of the show who comes on the show. And we got back up on this running back thing, didn't we, Cuervo? We hopped up on it, and so I brought back an old graphic that I found a long time ago. So I brought this back up, and and looked at this list, and I'm looking at some of this list. I hate number 5, of course, because there's no way that Frank Gore is better than some of these other ones. Now take that out so I can have my little fun with Frank Gore. I almost like the list outside of maybe I'd bring Jim Brown and put Jim Brown ahead of Tiki Barber. And I think I'd put Tony Dorsett actually in front of Tiki Barber as well. Mike Allstott, listen, great running back, but not, better. And I hate Marshawn Lynch, but there's no question Mike Allstott is not better than Marshawn Lynch, in my opinion, and or Jerome Bettis. So whoever made this list, out of it a little bit. And Gail Sawyer's being at 21 is a bitch slap, and it's so unfair. But outside of that, we were talking about the running back positions and who was the best and why. So in Cuervo, I don't necessarily remember. Were you a Peyton and guy as far as your answer was concerned? I don't remember seeing it. Or did you save it until today? Because I don't remember seeing it.
I mean, it's not very hard to figure out, guys. Come on.
Okay.
Born and raised in Chicago. You know who I'm going with, and I'm not afraid to admit it's a biased pick.
Right.
It's just my opinion, though.
Right.
For me, it's Sweetness is number 1. I didn't say who I had as my number 1, number 2 all time. It was more about proving a point when it came to the wide receiver talk.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And I was going to feed into that.
That's controversial as hell.
Oh, yay. The wide receiver conversation was fantastic. But that being said, I put together some things to talk about before we actually get to that. So looking at this graphic here, now this is since 2000. Now, granted, we're talking all time, but I want you to look at some of the names that are on here since 2000. As far as when I was looking at who would be the best, of the newcomers that might be able to move into talking about some of the best of all time. And rookie seasons are a good indicator on where you're going to be, who you're going to be, why you're going to be, and things of that sort. So when I'm looking at, this is where I started out on trying to is there anybody in this list, Cuervo, that you look at that might put themselves in the talk maybe in a few years down the road of maybe being some, obviously based upon whether they can stay injury free and just keep having successful seasons? Is there anybody up on there that can challenge the 1, 2, 3, 4 GOATs that we are talking about in that chat room?
Well, I mean, the one to me that sticks out at the moment, but I'm concerned about who he's got at quarterback is Justin Jefferson.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, obviously his career took off like a rocket going into space. I mean, that thing took off quick, but now that he's got, I don't know, either it's McCarthy or Sam Darnold or whoever's going to play quarterback for the Vikings, that's concerning.
It has to be. It has to be.
With that said, the next guy that I would say is probably Jamar Chase. He's got the most, how do I say it, consistency at quarterback compared to Jefferson, even Puka Nacua, because who knows where Matthew Stafford's at right now as far as his career is concerned.
Is he going to start? Because I've been hearing rumors that he might not start.
Is he even going to play?
That
Sonny?
Too?
Because if you've been heavy into social media this past week, his head's got to be all messed up with some of the things that his wife said in public. My God,
seriously, it's stuff he's known about though.
Has he though? Has he? But the way she put it, like, I don't know.
I don't think she would drop a bombshell on him without him knowing about it to the media.
Right.
I still think it's gonna mess with him because now it's public. Now it's for everybody to know and for everybody to talk about.
Well,
So
he's a Lake Highlands graduate, so the quarterbacks are pretty soft up there. So we'll see.
Well, it's all about who can deliver the ball, like Cuervo said. Now, since 2000, these were the rookies of what they did since 2000. Um, so a little bit, further back, but these are the guys that will be moving forward. Dak Prescott, where's he going to be? Who's he going to be throwing for? CJ Stroud at number 6, I thought was 8. And then Justin Herbert as well. I'm not more so Baker Mayfield, not worried about him because I don't see him as the great big superstar or the guy that can pull a wide receiver and get him. So whoever Dak's going to throw to, I think CJ Stroud, can make whoever they're going to be. And then, of course, Justin Herbert, but not those guys that we were talking about on those rookies. So, it's all going to be about who's going to be able to throw that football and be able to get you maybe in the discussion as one of the GOATs that are out there. I'm with Justin Jefferson as far as that is concerned. But if you look at the 2020 draft, wide receiver class, Justin Server is really outside of being the big superstar. I think is the only one there in reality. CeeDee Lamb, I think he's just going to fade away. Brandon Ayuk, now whether or not what is going to happen at the quarterback position there with Mr. Irrelevant getting them the ball, that's going to be, and then T. Higgins as far as that is concerned. But the other people in this list, at least from the draft class of 2020, there's only 2 you really can talk about in reality, and I think that's T. Higgins because of the money he's trying to demand or got. That matter of fact, he did get, and Justin Jefferson. So they got their money. And again, will Higgins be better based upon who's going to be throwing the football? And can he come as close as Jamar Chase as well?
No. I mean, Jamar Chase he's the alpha of that receiver class, that room in Cincinnati. So
right.
I mean, Higgins got his money. That's good. Good for Cincinnati. They were able to keep him in the room, in the building. But we'll see what that does for him going into next year. Is he going to stick around again, or is he going to test free agency again? But yeah, I mean, if you go back to that list, there's a lot of questions about guys from there. You got Brandon Ayuk. What are the 49ers going to do with him?
Exactly.
How's Jerry Jeudy going to look in Cleveland now with Deshaun Watson at quarterback? Darnell Mooney leaves the Bears. Now he's in Atlanta. I think he got paid too much, and that's why the Bears let him go. Okay, fine. Let the Falcons overpay. That's cool.
Here's your overpaid guys that could be overpaid guys depending on who
paid.
And you look at it. Yeah, as far as that is concerned. And and also thinking about where these guys will be talking about the Hall of Fame. I'll be getting that to a little bit later up on the show. But is Jefferson, based upon what we're seeing from Jefferson, as he a Hall of Famer, Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham Jr., Antonio Brown, and AJ Green. These are guys that are going to be the ones that we're going to be talking about here in the near future on will or will they not be, put into the Hall of Fame. I think, it's going to be interesting to see how those young careers go compared to Odell Beckham Jr., who's still, trying to get a paycheck and still, trying to, accomplish what he's trying to accomplish. So I think there's a lot to be looking forward to in that whole situation. But getting back to what we were talking about in the group, back to of all time, Cuervo is a Randy Moss guy. We've talked about that up on this show, and of course the old school guys going there. But Bryce hopped on. I got a message. I just sent him a message. We need you on there because I wanted him to talk about the rights thing. Now, you made mention to something to in the group about Moss and Owens playing in the dates where they are hanging on. I agree to you to a certain extent. The rules were beginning to change at that time when they were on there, but So they benefited a little bit more than Jerry Rice did, based upon the rules and when they were coming down. So, and the agility of being able to handle that situation as much as a Jerry Rice compared to Randy Moss and or Terrell Owens, because man, I think it's Rice, Owens, and Moss in reality, and basing it on the fact that unfortunately, when you think Moss and Owens, no Super Bowl rings, also kind of takes away from my feeling on who might be the GOAT, based upon that. So looking at what you were looking at, Cuervo, and then we'll see what the Father K Mac has to say. What's your look up on that as far as where you think Randy Moss is kind of compared to whether it's a Terrell Owens or Jerry Rice?
So, all right.
Or is this based upon a young school, new school kind of thing compared to old school? It's hard to get off of it since we're old school.
I don't know. I mean, I mean, you think about the NBA, right? And you think about the Jordan LeBron stuff.
Yes.
Guys our age, hey, there's no doubt in our minds. It's either Jordan or it's Kareem. It's one of those older guys, right?
Or Kobe.
Today's somebody or Kobe if you're from LA. You know, you're
glad you
gonna be
mentioned him.
a big Kobe guy. If you're like 30 years,
it's hard not to put him in the conversation.
Kobe, well, absolutely, yeah. I mean, Kobe had the killer mentality that only Jordan could compare to.
Absolutely, I fully agree. He's the closest to Jordan that could be.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. And but if you're 30 or younger, LeBron's your guy, like hands down. And if that's your argument, fine. Like, there's really no right or wrong answer to it when it's all said and done. The point I was trying to make, Sonny, and we can use LeBron too in this conversation when it comes to basketball. When it comes to Jerry Rice, LeBron James, Emmitt Smith, what do all those three guys have in common?
Hall of Famers.
They got championships.
They have championships.
And they're Hall of Famers.
They are, or they're going to be Hall of Famers. Okay.
Yeah.
But when you look at their career, they're the all-time leader in their sport. LeBron, all-time leading scorer. Jerry Rice, all-time leading receiver, most receiving yards. Nobody's probably going to touch him. Emmitt Smith, all-time leading rusher.
Different game.
How many people actually think? How many? But when you look at it, when you ask who's the greatest basketball player of all time, most people will still say Michael. Mm-hmm. When you say who's the greatest running back of all time, most people will still say either Barry Sanders or Walter Payton. When you ask as far as who the greatest wide receiver of all time is, you're going to get mostly Jerry Rice. However, my point is, it's not always about the stats. That's why I don't like looking at stats. Stats, they matter. Absolutely, they matter. Mm-hmm. I look at what I saw with my two eyes on the field, on the court, whatever. You know, I'll make another example. Who do you guys think is the greatest pitcher of all time? Major league pitcher. Could you say
Nolan Ryan got the records clearly, but
Nolan Ryan is one I'm thinking about, and then depending on who is the old Cardinal pitcher? Gosh, it's just slipping my mind.
Bob Gibson.
Bob Gibson. And then there's another one.
Randy Johnson's pretty good too.
Yeah, Randy Johnson, Roger Clemens, right?
Yeah. I'll think of the other one I'm thinking of, but Bob Gibson, that's usually. But then that's the old school mentality coming up to where the guys I'm thinking of in reality. That's the reason why I got Cuervo on this show.
But here's the thing, though. Baseball back then was played a lot different than it is now. And now you have pitch counts. Now you have pitchers not even going to 9 innings, whereas Ryan would pitch eight, nine innings a game.
Yeah,
unless you got
exactly.
hurt.
Sandy Koufax,
So-
that was the other one I was. And I'm an old school guy because of the new rules. Like Trey, you're absolutely right. I think the new rules and everything that has taken away from how or managers how they protect their pitchers, not because of their pitching, because of how much money they make, and they have to protect them to where they can't go out and do 8-9 innings on a regular basis, like
Plus, every
Koufax,
pitcher,
Gibson,
every
and
big-time pitcher
even to
gets
that
Tommy
point,
John
Randy
surgery.
Johnson,
Every pitcher now gets Tommy John surgery too, so they're out for about a
Tommy
year.
John. Good point.
That wasn't a thing back in the day. So, I
Hey,
mean,
when you got
back
an
then-
injury named after you, you're pretty good.
I mean, back then, you threw until your arm fell off.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of, I mean, Fernando Valenzuela was the same way. He threw until he couldn't throw no more.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it's look. I mean, the thing is, when you look at the running backs, right? Yeah, and I 100% agree. Barry Sanders, Walter Payton are far more in the discussion than Emmitt Smith because of who Emmitt had around him.
Absolutely.
I mean, if Peyton or Sanders had the Dallas Cowboys offensive line and quarterback and even wide receivers at that time, we'd be looking at a whole different story about who had the most yards.
Yep.
You know?
Right.
But
and if Barry put in more years, could you imagine that too as well? And that's where we get to as far as Randy Moss, how many years playing and being able to stay in with the game as well.
Go ahead, Trey. I was going to make a point off of what you said.
I mean, look, I understand Cuervo's perspective on Randy Moss, okay? He's twice a year for a good period of time. All right? You saw up close and personal how great Randy Moss is. That's fair. But that team was a three-headed monster at the time, doing what they were doing to get as close to the Super Bowl, but not to the Super Bowl. Whereas Jerry Rice played on a team where he had the all-time best quarterback in the league at that time, Joe Montana.
Two of them.
Yeah. Then it moved on to Steve Young. Great. Mm-hmm. He had Roger Craig for a second, but then he had a platoon of running backs that were really good running backs. And he has a lot of good things happen to him. Let's face it, the year that him and Steve Young won the Super Bowl, Deion Sanders on the defensive side of the ball. You had all sorts of things happening for you that really made that season work for you in 1994. So, but here's the thing. Not only did he get a ring, he got Super Bowl MVP. That is something that Terrell Owens and Randy Moss cannot say about themselves. Now, both guys that played in the Super Bowl didn't win them. Not necessarily their fault they didn't win them either. Just is what it is. But when you have that on your when you have that on your ledger, though, you were a Super Bowl MVP. Only however many Super Bowls we've had, they've had that plus one more because the Cowboys had 2 in 1 year. But that's a rare feat to have, and that's a stat you can't take away from somebody. And I think that's why Jerry Rice stands head and shoulders above Randy Moss and Terrell Owens. Now, Terrell Owens, in my mind, below Randy Moss because Randy Moss never tried to tear apart a team. He never tried to tear apart his quarterback. Whereas Terrell Owens, he ripped Jeff Garcia apart big time. And he went to Eagles, he ripped Donovan McNabb apart big time. Came to the Cowboys, ripped everybody else there big time. So yeah, he was a cancer. No doubt about that. But Randy Moss was perceived to be a cancer coming into the league. That's why Cowboys didn't draft him and turned out to be nothing more than just a great player. Big shock, right? So that's why I put Randy Moss number 2, because Jerry Rice had done so much accolades-wise to be at that number 1 spot. Again, that's only looking at stats. You look at the time in the league spent, look at where else he went after the Niners, all that stuff didn't all measure up the way we all thought it would. Whereas Randy Moss moved from the Vikings to the Patriots and wherever else he went. Yeah, he had a hell of a career regardless where he went. Plus, he had the all-time great. Plus, like Jerry Rice, he had the all-time great quarterback going to him currently, which is Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
So, both guys are in a great situation to be compared to. They are the Michael Jordan / Kobe Bryant / LeBron James argument in basketball. You know, who was the best in their time, this and that. I hate the greatest of all time thing because now we're shitting on everybody who we never got to see. You know, I mean, none of us got to see Bob Hayes play. Bob Hayes changed the league. He invented the 3-4 defense and made everybody spread the zone defenses out so they can cover a guy as fast as he was. You know, but no one talks about him because he's so yesterday. So and believe there's gonna be a day where we're all probably dead and gone by then. We're gonna have 3 guys doing a show like this, probably more virtual than this shit, and and they're gonna talk about Jerry Rice III being the best wide receiver of all time, and I was gonna sit there and go, what about his great grandfather? With him, I mean, it might happen.
Screw him. He ain't no good.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Yeah, I get it.
But plus, Ironback was in 1984. Do you imagine? I know you guys might remember some of this. Do you remember how great of a receiving platoon Dan Marino had? Mark Clayton and Mark Duper.
Marx Brothers, yeah.
Yeah, they were light the league on fire. For 1 year, they did. Didn't win a Super Bowl, but they got there. You know, and I mean, they lit the league on fire. They flamed out. You know, that's that. But then you look at a guy like, say, Art Monk. You know, a known mainstay for the Redskins back in the day. Great, tough, big wide receiver. Would always. And I remember how many times I stood at the Texas Stadium, watched those games happen, and watch him just lower the boom on us with him and Theismann. I mean, it happened an awful lot. So there's great receivers out there in the all-time of all. That's where you got to put the numbers in perspective, though. I mean, look who won what, look who got what, and everything else. If you're going to go all-time great, and that's where I think Randy Moss kind of goes right below, just barely in it, because he didn't have all that Jerry Rice did have. My opinion.
Yeah, and look, I can't. When it comes to stats, I have no leg to stand on. When it comes to my argument for Randy, I have no leg to stand on. Jerry blows him away every statistic, okay, as far as yards and catches and touchdowns and Super Bowls and MVPs and you know, all the stats.
Those are pretty big stats, by the way. Pretty big stats to go on.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I can't make that. If we're gonna just go off stats, well, I'm gonna have to bow out. I can't make an argument for Moss. That's my point, though, is when people talk about why Jerry Rice is so great, and it's not that it's wrong, it's just give me something other than stats. What's made Jerry Rice stand out compared to some of these other guys that we talk about?
Well,
Terrell Owens played in the Super Bowl with a broken ankle. So you want to talk?
You know what, though?
About a great performance? That guy. Let me tell you, the Eagles didn't lose that Super Bowl because of him.
Yeah, and he had to sign a waiver not for the Eagles to be responsible for that injury as well.
He signed that.
He put it on his shoulder
faster than they could print it because
you know what, though,
so bad.
You know, I always look at this, though, and this is kind of Deion Sanders' argument. You're as good as you make the players around you also. You know, I mean, it's the things you don't see that player doing is what the other players are doing. Case in point, you know, Larry Brown won the Super Bowl MVP of the Cowboys Super Bowl 30 because Deion shut down half the damn field. So Larry Brown got his share of interceptions and everything else in that game. Badass for him. Jerry Rice made John Taylor. Jerry Rice gave those opportunities away. He took the defenders away from John Taylor so Taylor can get those yards. You know, so you know he was like 1A and 1B. Randy Moss had the same thing. I mean, he I can't remember the other receiver he had for the Vikings when he was there, but you know when people were doubling up on Randy Moss, it left his other guy wide open.
CC Chris Carter, his career
Chris Carter, yeah, there you go.
His career was
already point on that
point.
Yeah, and it just got more stuff. I like, well, the hell with him. We got this other guy over here we got to take care of. Well, Chris is saying, okay, I'll take the yards. So, I mean, it's a good problem to have. It was a good problem for all those teams back then to have. and it tells you just how great those players we're talking about were for those teams, and the intangibles you don't really see because they don't get the yards and stats like we talked about, but they added stats and yards for other players. So
So really, throw this out in Cuervo. You're talking, and I get exactly where it is. You're talking eye test compared to what you've seen. And it's not the fact that you have not seen Jerry Rice. You've seen Jerry Rice, whether it was live or in the thing. You're seeing more as far as the eye test is concerned when you're talking to Randy Moss and how you feel about him as far as the rankings are concerned. I'm assuming, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't put too much into stat. The stats are going to come when you play 20 years in the league.
Right.
The stats are going to come when you're able to keep yourself healthy and you're available every single season and it's not. I'm not making an excuse for it. Well, it's because you got hurt. But no. I'm not. That's not where I'm going with that. I'm going based off of when he was on the field, when he was playing, he was a record-breaking guy that put fears in defensive backs. And
yeah,
look, maybe I'm a little too young to remember if Jerry did the same thing. I just don't remember people talking about Jerry Rice like that. It was more about, dude, Jerry Rice ran routes flawlessly. The guy kept himself in shape 365 days a year. And that just speaks to his work ethic. And
absolutely,
that's like Kobe Michael. Look, Kobe worked harder, but Michael worked smarter. But it was the same result. It was the same result. They both had phenomenal. Jerry Rice worked harder, believe me. But I'm pretty sure Randy did it in a smarter way. But he used his talents to overcome any other shortfalls he may have had. Like I said, though, I just, when I see the difference in the receivers and how they played and the athleticism and who could make certain plays, I give the edge to Randy Moss. I'm sorry. You can disagree all you want. That's just my opinion.
Sure.
And to top it all off, guys, let's go back to somebody that Sonny admires and respects very much, Tom McManus. What did Tom McManus say? He goes, if you're starting a team today, who do you want at your receiver? He goes, I'm taking Randy Moss.
He keeps that audio on the file to where he can find it immediately. And I don't blame him. I get it. Starting today is totally different because of the way they are. Now, so if you start that conversation, I might surprise everybody if I'm starting a team and you can have them. I'm going Terrell Owens. I am going Terrell Owens, and that's over Randy Moss and over Jerry Rice. Just more in the fact of what type of player that he can possibly be. Trying and obviously trying to hook him up. But I love, and even though Mr. Trey Mack hates the fact that Terrell Owens did what he did on the Star in Dallas, that's why, and that is the reason why I take him probably more so. Yeah, a little bit cocky. Yeah, a little bit cocky, but still proves it week in and week out. And so more so, depending on what you think about ego, out of all of them, Jerry Rice is not an egomaniac too, which also helps me decide who I think is the best of all times as well. But if I'm starting a team right now, I'm taking Terrell Owens because of the passion and his drive to try to win. I mean, obviously didn't get the job done in the Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles, but there's not too many guys that are going to sit there and say, well, I'll take responsibility for myself in a game more so than having the cover of an NFL football team or the NFL as well. So just kind of yeah, obviously if you were starting one, you would take Randy Moss there, Cuervo?
Yeah, I'd have to go. Now I was going to tell Trey real quick. I'm sure he thinks about that moment with T.O. and he's like, George Teague is my hero, man. My hero.
I can tell you where I was when it happened. I was listening to the game on the radio. I was talking to Shreveport, And there's one guy who's a lot more happy about that is George Teague, because his name became relevant. That was the one day he became a relevant Dallas Cowboy folklore type name because of that one.
He should be in the Ring of Honor just for that, right?
Hey, do you have that framed? Do you have like a picture frame of when Teague hit T.O.? That would be a great collection.
It would be, and it wouldn't quite go in this room very well. It might go behind. It might go behind me. I'm not gonna lie, but that's something I might look into. Best. But I think for me, the fact that when Emmett scored a touchdown that game, he ran out to the star and did this whole thing like that. I think that would probably do more for me than watching Terrell Owens get his ass kicked by George Teague at the 50-yard line. But at the same time, in Cuervo, you weren't here when this happened, but how disturbing it was when Jerry Jones signed T.O. and the cameras went. Immediately George Teague says, "What do you think?" Like, what? What are we doing? Why are we bringing that jackass in?
I remember when that happened and the controversy about it.
The thing was, it wasn't just George Teague saying it. Even Bill Parcells there going, "We're bringing in who?
Who?
The player? the player? Sure, okay. See if he gets the damn ball." Hey, look. The Cowboys had an opportunity right then to have the best wide receiving crew out there with Terrell Owens and Keyshawn Johnson.
At that time.
Didn't have a quarterback.
Yep.
There's no quarterback. And Quincy Carter wasn't going to do it. Vinny Testaverde was way past his prime. And Drew Bledsoe just couldn't keep his shit together. So,
I mean, by the way, could you imagine if they had a quarterback with those two?
Well, if you remember, if you remember around that time, a young Tony Romo was sitting there waiting for his opportunity. When he finally got the opportunity, he made the most of it. So, how awesome would it have been to have Keyshawn Johnson, Terrell Owens, Tony Romo with Jason Witten already on the team, and you had a platoon of running back. After Emmett left, we kind of went through the same thing we did with quarterbacks. So, DeMarco Murray was there for a second until he got injured. Then any other running back out of Arkansas that came to the Cowboys.
Felix.
But we had what was it, Darren McFadden, and we had
McFadden. I think both of them played for the Cowboys, right?
Yeah. We got McFadden on the trade from the Raiders. Either a trade or he's a free agent, one or the other. But we got him way past his prime at that point because he never really had a prime. But that tells you just how great Arkansas running backs can go. But hey, it's kind of like the Los Angeles Lakers. Well, if your dad plays for us, we'll draft you, no matter how shitty you might be in college. We'll bring you on over here. Don't worry about that.
Well, that's another story. That's another story. We'll get to that in just a moment. But
by the way, a lot of football ties on that too, because everybody's saying how the nepotism on that whole thing took place. Look what the Cowboys got. On the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, Vice President Stephen Jones, the other guy, Jerry Jones Jr. It's all nepotism right from the ground up.
That was going to be my point. I know Bryce put what he put in. Nobody's arguing that whether it's nepotism or not. It is, all of it is. Whether it's talking about the front offices and all of it's nepotism. I'm not arguing whether something is or not. It's just all of it is. It happens.
And that's the difference between someone being 57 compared to 41, Cuervo, right? Mm-hmm. And then this one next to me is 47. So we got differences 49. In 49. Sorry. By the way, I got next time I see you, I got some for you. So next time I see you, personally, I'm still going to deliver your plaque, by the way. But next time I see you, I got something for you. But that being said, there's always a great, taking it within time, starting the team now. Who would you take now compared to the rules of today, to the rules of yesteryear, and things of that sort? It definitely changes probably an outlook on how it would be, because if they started a team right now and they had the rules back when Jerry Rice would go, there's no question I'm taking Jerry Rice.
Okay.
So
I'll say I have an idea. Let's do a quick little draft real quick. We're going to draft an offensive line of our own taste, okay? We go around the horn. Who would you pick at quarterback? Who'd you pick at running back? And just see where our mindsets are at, okay?
okay,
Sure,
as far
let's do it.
okay, so you start then. Start. Are we doing each position, or just
let's do each position? Let's do each position. So, like, we'll start at quarterback, and then we'll end at say. And I'm just saying the big five. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and you can draft two, and you can draft two wide receivers. Okay. So just make this quick. All right.
Very good.
Well,
okay.
what
At quarterback?
it goes.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it goes back to what Sonny was saying. What rules are we going by? Today's rules or today's how the game's played, or does it matter? Is it just an all-time draft?
I mean, it's an all-time draft. So, like, this is who your quarterback would be, and regardless of whatever situation is, because obviously it's never going to happen. So, because you have to pick some of these guys up, it looks like. Okay.
All right, with the first pick,
I'll go first. First pick is not a Dallas Cowboy, so I'll get that out. It's not behind me, Danny White. No, it's not him.
Bigger shot.
All right. Okay. Give me my first pick in my little fantasy football draft. At quarterback, I will take Tom Brady.
Okay.
Cuervo.
All right, Cuervo. Who do you take?
Tom Brady's number one. Well, I mean,
do we still get to pick Tom Brady, or is Tom Brady your guy?
No, he's gone.
Oh, okay. So he's gone. Okay. All right. So Tom Brady off of the. So who do you go, Cuervo?
I got to go with my all-time favorite quarterback, none other than the sheriff himself, Mr. Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. That's a good pick. I mean, and when you do this kind of thing, right? Yeah, right. Just wow, right? You get a guy 37 points a game, almost 5,500 yards and 55 touchdowns. I mean, most of all time, you get the guy that is there. So and by the way, not because you've taken the two. If I was starting it and I was going to go, I would go with my guy. I'm going to go Dan Marino. Based upon the kind of player that he was, that would have been my number one. And no disrespect to the other ones, just kind of the poor guy. You want to talk about a guy that, man, you just wish he won the Super Bowl somehow, got in there and been able to do what he did. I always kind of looked at Dan Marino as a guy that is the little engine that could, but really couldn't. In reality, because he didn't get the job done. So I think I go with Mr. Dan Marino, based upon
not a bad pick, Sonny.
So, all right, so now we're going to where? Wide receiver,
running back.
Okay, running back. All right, so who's starts? Do we keep going in the same order?
Yeah.
Right?
Order.
Podfather, go ahead. Okay. Who do you have?
Give me Walter Payton.
Bitch slaps Cuervo out of the spot. Now I'm interested. On the number two, who would you take as number two?
This would be a lot of fun if we had all the guys on the show, by the way.
And by the way, there's one person you can't pick. You can't pick Frank Gore, okay? Just so you know.
No, you can go right ahead.
You can't tell him who to pick.
All right.
It's a waste, but go right ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. All right. So, hey, are we going to do two running backs?
One running back. No, just to maybe because you had one quarterback, one running back, two wide receivers, and a tight end. That's five
Okay.
players.
All right. Very good. All right. So
Okay.
then Cuervo, as far as the running, do you want the graphic on that, or do you got someone in your mind?
Nah, I don't need it.
He has
I got someone in
NFL
mind.
films in his head right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. I just can't believe Trey would do that to me. I thought for sure you were taking Emmitt Smith.
I can tell you,
No,
if we were drafting offensive lines, that's one thing. We're not drafting offensive lines.
That's very true. I'm not gonna take Frank Gore. I will not take Frank Gore. I want to save him for Sonny to take.
Yeah.
I will go with I'm gonna go with Barry Sanders at running back.
Okay, fair.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
All right, come on, Sonny.
It being the number 3 spot. I'm gonna
Fred
go.
Taylor.
I'm gonna go off it where
Franco Harris.
Oh,
Not
not that crazy.
John
but
Riggins.
Well, no, I think there was a guy that was cut off of, outside of Barry Sanders, or cut off as far as his greatness and what he could do. And I can't even believe I would have taken Barry, but my number 2, Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson, the roundabout on who he is, great runner, and out of the backfield, oh my God, he was just something to watch. Not only that, he had the best rookie season for a running back of all time. You knew how great he was going to be in his first year, and if he could have stayed there a little bit longer, and things of that sort, I think we could have been talking about Eric Dickerson being some of the man. You know what? I should be writing this down. So I'm gonna get my pad and write it down. So, but I think I go Eric Dickerson. Yeah, and there's a lot of great running backs, right?
You got a very pissed off team right now. Dan Marino couldn't win the big one, and you got Eric Dickerson that couldn't get to the big one,
and couldn't play a long period of time either. So you got that thrown up on top of it.
But you got the all-time leading passer in 1 year and the all-time leading running back in 1 year. So good for you.
Yeah. So I'm going to open this up. So I'm going to write this down. I find this very interesting. Draft order, and I'll write.
He's opening a brand new notepad for this.
Brand spanking new. You're right, and new pen.
As if he had that on standby this entire time,
just in case. You never know when you might need to do it. So
that's the all-time list notepad. Just break it out when you need it.
It's the Delta notepad, right there.
There you go.
All right, so on to the next one. Is it tight end, or are we going to go wide receiver?
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver, and you get the pick. You go. So I got Mr. Trey Mack. Damn pen. There we go. Trey. He has the GOAT. And he has Walter. All right. So who do you have as your wide receiver?
Well, as much as I had the argument for why Jerry Rice is the all-time great, it's not going to stop me from picking who I really want to pick.
Who's you going to pick?
And that would be Randy Moss.
He took your guy again? Cuervo, he took your guy again.
Listen,
man, he's been slapping you all over the place.
Here's the thing. I'm not Jerry Jones. I'm not going to blow a choice to draft Randy Moss. Okay. Yes.
All right, so Cuervo, your quarterback was who?
The Sheriff, Peyton Manning.
Manning. Oh God, I knew that. And your running back was
Barry.
No, Barry.
Oh, you bum. All right.
That just sounds dangerous.
All right. So that being said, who do you have, Cuervo, at the
I think Trey did this to just mess with me.
He might.
I'm convinced Trey wanted to do this just to mess with me. That's what I think.
See, you would think that would be me, right, Cuervo?
No, hey, in all honesty, ever since his
all right.
rookie year, Thanksgiving, when the Vikings came to town to play the Cowboys, and they lit up the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, trust me, I knew how great Randy Moss was. But overall, playing wise and everything else, that's where you factor the stats in, and actually big games that he's won and lost. That's where you factor in the greatest of all time. But having said that, Jerry Jones really effed up there by not drafting Randy Moss. Okay, so he had the opportunity to do it, and he says, "No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to get whoever the fuck I got at that point, probably Ebenezer Ekubon or whoever it was."
Something
So
like that.
you know, yeah. So it was a pick that was not worth it.
All right, Cuervo, go with your pick at the wide receiver position. Who's your pick?
All right, this one might surprise you guys a little bit because we haven't mentioned him, but for my
Steve
first
Largent.
receiver, Sonny, this is your lucky day. You're finally going to get a guy that you really want.
Okay.
I'm going to take, for my first receiver, I'm going to take Megatron, Calvin Johnson.
Wow, Calvin Johnson. Wow, that is amazing. I thought it was going to be somebody else, so I am going to take my boy Jerry Rice. I've got that's so.
Well.
So who's the second one for you, Trey Mack?
I do love you, Michael Irvin, but he wasn't durable enough.
Just do it. Just take him.
No, I can't do that.
He wants Desmond
I
Bryant.
thought he'd have somebody in mind.
Hell no. No. I've been going through some older players back in the day. I'm gonna be a little different though. Give me Lynn Swan.
Oh, he a different kind of wide receiver, versatile wide receiver.
Well, once you mentioned Franco Harris, I'm like, well, hell, the Steelers had other weapons, yeah. So.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, Cuervo, your number 2 wide receiver. Who do you take?
All right. If you thought the first one was going to shock you, this one's really going to shock you.
This guy's out of Green Bay.
Because I like speed. You know what I'm saying? So my second receiver is going to be a guy that plays today. I'm going to take Tyreek Hill as my number 2 wide receiver.
Really? That is wow. So definitely off of the grid as far as that is concerned. You can't argue, and I even say this: if you could imagine Tyreek Hill now for the last 3 seasons in Miami, having a better quarterback, like what his numbers could possibly be with a different type of quarterback, that being in Tua. I get it, makes sense. Speed always kills. I think you even said that, Cuervo. Speed kills. So, but I get the number. I rank them as far as wide receivers. Number 1, Jerry Rice, and number 2, Terrell Owens. So I'm going to take a Terrell Owens.
Rice and T.O. with Dan Marino. Woo, that's pretty good.
Yeah, Rice, Dan Marino, and Terrell Owens,
Eric Dickerson. For the egos in that locker room.
Right.
Well, listen, we're not picking based on how many fights will start in the locker room. We're just, we're picking. So that goes to tight
Sonny,
end.
is it Eric Dickerson, like Goggles version?
Yes, Goggles version. Yes, absolutely.
This is after SMU's already paid him.
One of those things about Eric Dickerson that I really like, he didn't run. He pounded the ground. I don't know if you ever watched Eric Dickerson. He always looked like he was pounding the ground and being the guy, Yeah, so I love that. All right, so tight end. Okay. Man, I know who I'll write it down on this because I know who the Podfather's going for.
Jay Novacek.
You're right.
Oh, really?
I'll go Jay Novacek because Emmitt Smith's
I
game
was joking, but
went
okay.
down. No,
I
Emmitt
had
Smith's game
Moose.
went
I had
down once
Moose
Novacek.
Johnston. I thought you'd go Moose.
Moose is the fullback, sir.
I
He's
had the
a
wrong
fullback.
position. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Wrong position.
No. The reason I did Jay Novacek is because he got yards, he got open, he made the running back better. And I mean, yeah, you got the offensive line doing what they can, but when you have that third option of Novacek, that opened up Emmett to run all over the damn place.
Absolutely.
So give me Novacek. Because here's the thing. Troyman did not play any better without him. Now that might have been on Troy, but I mean I'm just saying he was not the same quarterback without Novacek. Because when they brought in his replacement, that guy spared out big time. David LaFleur, he did not last that long as a tight end. He was Troy's pick. So yeah, give me Novacek.
Who was your second wide receiver? I can't read my writing. Starts with an S.
Lynn Swan.
Swan.
Lynn Swan.
Gotcha. Make it to where I can read it. There we go. All right. So Cuervo, tight end. Who do you got?
Man, this one's tough because there's a lot of great ones. You got a couple that are playing now today. Obviously, not a lot that are playing, that are in history books. I want to take Gronk, but he got hurt too much in his career, man. So I don't know if I could count on him to stay healthy. If I'm a GM and I'm drafting an all-time team here. This one's going to surprise you guys, I think, too. I think I want to take for my tight end. I want Antonio Gates.
No,
Actually,
that's who I thought you would take. Antonio Gates. That's who I thought you would take. We've had many conversations over our 15 years, 14 years, and Gates has always been one of the guys outside of Gronk, because we can talk about how great Gronk was and things of that sort.
Yeah, I love me some Gronk, but yeah, it's not durable enough.
Yep. So, and I'm gonna take at my tight end position. I wish he was on a different football team than he played for. I'm taking Jason Witten. I love me some Jason Witten. I loved how he played the game.
Over Tony Gonzalez, huh?
Listen, Tony Gonzalez was great. Don't get me wrong, but I've decided to go based upon kind of how the game changed from when Gonzalez played to where Witten played. They kind of little bit overlapped, and during that overlap, I think I saw Jason Witten on what he could do. And again, if he had a different quarterback, he might have even been better. I mean, obviously, you don't get much, you don't go wrong with Troy Aikman throwing you the football. Don't get me wrong, and Tony Romo.
First of all, he had Romo throwing the ball. So him and Romo were a great combination.
Didn't he get 1 year with Aikman and White?
No.
Or no? Okay,
No.
So I'm going a little bit further.
Danny White was gone. Danny White was gone in 1989.
Gotcha.
At that point, Jason Witten was like in fourth grade.
So, all right. So, but I just like Witten's game. So not to throw anything out, for Tony Gonzalez. Loved me some Tony Gonzalez. Love me some Tony. Who was that tight end that played for the Saints back in the day? Can't think of his name. He's a big dude. I'll try to remember it, but
Jimmy Graham.
All right. Huh? Yeah,
Graham.
Yeah,
Jimmy
Graham.
Yeah.
Man, he was good.
He was good. Jeremy Shockey for the Giants. He was a big bruiser too.
Exactly. So,
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we got Trey Mack going with the GOAT at quarterback, Walter Payton, Moss, Lynn Swan, and Novacek. We have Cuervo.
Can you picture the hookups between Tom Brady and Jay Novacek in 3rd and 5 situations? Let me think about that for a second.
Yeah, you might get
it get the job done. That's
for
true.
how many years before you but you know, I put that graphic up of Peyton Manning. If you don't know how great that season was, you're absolutely nuts. You know, as far obviously one of the best, well, the best quarterback performance in a year ever. And thinking about how good that Bronco team was, I bet you, but and that was before you met your wife. You know, I bet you she was ecstatic. All you know, and it was 3 years with Manning, right? At quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Was it 3?
4. No, it
Was it
was
4?
4 actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So nice one. So Manning, Barry, the Megatron. I kind of like the pick. I kind of like the pick of Megatron, and then you got the big guy that's a Calvin Johnson. Then you got the short guy with Hill, and then Antonio Gates. You know these. You know outside of Hill, you're talking about your team. I call it kind of the rough and tumble kind of team. I mean, you look at what those guys did. They were known as tough players as well. Outside of Hill, I don't consider him really tough. But everybody else, those are tough dudes on your list. And then I got Marino, Dickerson, Rice, and Owens, and then Jason Witten. And are we missing a position?
No, that's it.
That's all we were doing.
We had two wide receivers, one running back, one quarterback, one tight end.
Do we want to do one more running back or no?
Or a defensive guy?
I mean, you know, the one thing we could do, and maybe save this for a later show, because you know, it'd be hard. If we were to draft, okay, your team has quarterbacks, two like two of each, okay, but only
Right.
one tight end, because and actually have 3 wide receivers. So you spread out. You have two quarterbacks who your backup would be, who your running back and his backup would be, and who your 2 wide receivers and your 1 backup would be, and just your tight end be whatever. We do that too. Obviously not today, but I mean we can just, it's something we think about, and hopefully we get more people on this show to do that. I think that's something to spread out to the guys. You know, let's all do a fantasy draft of the all-time greats.
Right.
And who would we pick? What do you think, Cuervo? Is that a good idea?
I'm down.
You down with
that? Let's do it.
Okay, because we had a lot of fun with this, so I figure, you know, we can have a lot more fun with more people doing this, and be interesting to see what everybody would think about you, because not all of us are suddenly have a graphic in front of us to say who's the top 50 quarterbacks of all time. So we're all going off our own and saying, hey, you know, what impacted us as fans, and who destroyed our team, and who we'd like to have on our team if we could, as opposed to who we actually had on our team, like I did with Novacek, and you know, and how much of an impact that was. But it is funny how, you know, Brett Favre was never mentioned. Brett Favre, who the NFL threw down our throats, I'm sure you know this, Cuervo. They threw at our throats constantly, week in, week out. Brett Favre. I mean, Dan Dierdorf was the biggest Brett Favre homer you've ever seen. We don't even consider
Dan Dierdorf.
On Monday Night Football. It's like, oh, Brett Favre's all this. Brett Favre's all that.
Oh, John Madden was worse.
I know, right?
Madden was in love with Favre. I think you're right.
Yeah, because of from the side.
So let's do the defense. Let's do defensive player. One defensive player, don't matter who it is. Podfather, defensive player for your list.
Okay, well, I'll say let's do it this way: one interior lineman, one corner, one secondary. Okay.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Can you say that again?
One interior lineman, one secondary. One secondary player.
So 2 guys?
So we'll do 2 guys.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Give me LT.
LT. That's not a bad pick at all. Cuervo.
You did it again, Trey. You did it again. I wanted Lawrence Taylor.
You took his whole team, by the way.
Yeah, you pretty much. Oh.
Hey, I'm to trade LT. I want to trade LT for Barry Sanders.
Deal. I can sign another running back.
All right.
Let's see. Defensive player, man. I'm trying not. I'm really trying not to be biased here. I'm trying to think about guys on other teams and stuff.
I mean, but dude, I mean, you're talking the monsters, the midway you can pick from. Those great players. I mean,
Yeah.
you just reach in and grab them real quick. Brian Urlacher's out there. I mean,
That's who I've got in mind, but man.
hey, man, I want Cowboys and Novacek. So I mean, it's what you've seen, right? It's whatever you are more accustomed to seeing to where you think that would fit in your game.
Mm-hmm. Crap. Let's see. You know what? Maybe I'll go with my secondary guy first, and I'll take prime time.
Secondary guy?
I'll take prime.
I know we can do that, but okay.
Prime time. Prime.
Damn, you took my pick.
Yeah. I already know who my two picks are, and no one's gonna get mine. So I'll start on the line. I'm taking the Reverend.
Here comes Sonic Menace.
I'm taking the Reverend. So, I'm sorry, Reggie White.
The Reverend.
Reggie White, or was he called the preacher? Reverend
Minister. Okay.
He's a minister.
So I
actually had him in mind, Sonny, but I passed on it.
Yeah. So all right. So that takes you to then your secondary guy there, Podfather. Who's your secondary guy?
Well, since my guy was picked, Deion Sanders no longer on the board. Oh shit.
Yeah, how's it feel, Trey?
Yeah, no. Well, I don't want Everson Walls. He ruined the catch. Bastard, he ruined the catch for everybody.
Wow.
So
Clark, wide receiver, tight end, Dwight Clark.
Yeah, I still don't want him either. But oh shit. Okay. A very underrated guy. Very underrated, but he had a hell of a career as an Eagle. And I played against him in high school, so I'm kind of biased on this. Give me Bobby Taylor.
Bobby Taylor, okay.
Gotcha. Bobby Taylor.
He had a solid career for the Eagles.
All right, Cuervo. Since you picked your
secondary
guy out there, it's to the lineman or defensive interior. Who you got?
Okay. Well, we all know it's all about getting to the quarterback, and since Lawrence Taylor is now not available, thank you. I'm going to go with the guy that I think was the closest to what I saw Lawrence Taylor do when it comes to disrupting quarterbacks. And no, it's not a Bear, believe it or not. Rest in peace. I'm taking Derek Thomas.
Derek Thomas was a
Damn,
guy.
I forgot all about him. Damn, that was a good one.
I just saw something about his daughter. His daughter is on I think it's a volleyball team, and she wears number 21 for that. So
that was Sean Taylor's daughter.
Oh no, that's Sean Taylor. Hey, Sean Taylor's not even a bad pick either on this.
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Hold on a second. I'm switching. I'm changing out Bobby Taylor. I know who I want to get now. I know it's not Sean Taylor.
All right, so 1A. Who's your 1A?
Redraft? Are we redrafting here? What's going on?
Yeah. Darryl Green.
Who?
Darryl Green.
Darryl Green.
Oh yeah. Oh God.
By the way, I know him.
Yeah.
He's a good. He's. I've had many conversations. I had an interview with him. By the way, I'm still working on my interview and making the video of Doug Williams. I'm still working on that. I got the video. I got the audio. I'm trying to make the video of it. So that's coming up soon. Always good. As far as, and I'm going to kind of go off of the thing. I'm not, as far as defenders, I'm going Aeneas Williams. Loved me some Aeneas Williams.
It was good.
I watched this guy play on such a horrible football team in the Arizona Cardinals, and just I just the way that he played the game, how he presented himself, and what he did as a Cardinal out of all friggin' teams in the NFL, this guy got stuck on. He did well. So but
hey, this is something we should put out to our group and just say, we want to do a fantasy all-time draft. So go through the positions as if we want to do offense and defense, we do it as well. It'll take the entire show. But and because I'm sure a lot of guys don't know who a cornerback to a free safety is. A lot. What's the difference between some of that? So it could happen.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was thinking about who I was going to take, and I took Aeneas Williams. I was right there on Revis Island when I was sitting there thinking about. I was close to taking Revis. And probably if I redrafted, I might take him a little more so. When you got that, it's such a good nickname, you got you're somebody who can play this game, and play it well. So.
There's one player for the Cowboys that played who's anointed to be, Ring of Honor, possible Hall of Fame, or whatever else. And maybe I just never understood. I didn't see this very well. But Darren Woodson's always the name that's always thrown out as far as being an all-time great at source at.
He played for Green Bay too, right?
No, he was a Cowboy.
Who am I thinking of that played for Green Bay and went to another team, Cuervo? You know who I'm talking about.
Charles Woodson. University of Michigan.
Yeah. But I always heard Darren Woodson, he's up there in the Cowboy lore of one of the all-time greats the Cowboys have had. But I'm like, maybe I've never seen it because he didn't make a lot of the big-time plays I thought he made. And maybe because he played in a lot of 5-11 teams. So it's hard to it's hard to find greatness on below mediocre teams. But, I remember when we drafted Roy Williams with the idea that him and Roy in the backfield was going to be fantastic. But then they took away the horse collar.
Williams fell off the face, right?
That was it, yeah. So that was it.
Interestingly enough, and I can't stand him because he was the leader of the, Legion of Bungholes, Richard Sherman, where he would be ranked on who would take him and who wouldn't. And I don't know if I can think of people are better.
He wouldn't be a bad pick, though.
I know
he wouldn't be a bad pick for anybody.
I hate that because I can't stand the guy, but you got to give the credit where the credit is due. But as far as that is concerned, and it's one of those things where you sit and you watch what ends up happening to certain players and certain guys and how they, kind of present themselves over the years. And of course I can't stand him because of who he is and how he, and how he put it up there.
But the biggest point is Terrell Owens, the way he positioned himself on other teams, and the way he carried himself and just was a cancer to everywhere he went.
Yeah.
He's Sonny's, second wide receiver pick. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. It's something I don't know. But I loved it when Williams just clocked him in the mouth. It was just great. And I'm talking the Washington Redskins offensive lineman. I love it. I love that pick. I used to have the video somewhere where he just got clocked. Yeah. So I love that video. It's one of my favorites because he shut somebody up that I love. I really loved seeing it because of, look at what he was, right? I mean, he was allowed. Oh, here it is. I found it. Here, hold it.
Hey, hell of a game, boy. Way to work out there. Hey, what you gonna do, boy? I'm gonna punch you in your Hey, do it then, boy.
I love it. I just love it. Pow! Pow! It's what you want to do to loudmouth is what Williams did to Richard Sherman, so it worked out pretty good as far as that was concerned. So yeah. Hey, now
You know
Cuervo.
what? Go ahead.
No. You go ahead. Finish up on that.
I was kind of amazed that in one of your interior linemen that you could have drafted, you decided not to go Dick Buckus. If we're going all time great, and a guy who was a monster,
you kind of forget about him sometimes because of, but he almost like defined the role in reality if you kind of think of it. On what tough is all about. Singletary is another, which I'm actually surprised Cuervo didn't run up on as far as that one was concerned. Maybe that was
Cuervo's point. He picked anybody who was never a Bear, so I give him credit for that. Whereas I went Dallas Cowboys on one of them, so I get all that.
Well, I didn't get a Jaguar in there at all, but there you go.
Because you can't get a Jaguar in there. So.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the things.
It doesn't exist.
So that being said, Cuervo, we were talking a little bit. You sent this to me the other day, a couple of weeks back, but I'm going to add this on to it, Cuervo. I'm going to take you back, and let's see if you felt like this.
Allen went for 401 through the air. They ran out of time in the first half. They run out of time in the end, and the offensive coordinator Dorsey.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, I just one of my when you said that you were you sent this to me a little bit back, but it's just so funny that I had to find the video. And Cuervo mentioned, I don't know if it was in our open one but talk a little bit about this. What you're talking about as far as what you feel about Josh Allen. I mean, now we're talking about the last 5 years, who has the most, and there it is. And we always talk about potential of quarterbacks, whether that be Justin Herbert or whatever the case may be, Cuervo. But this graphic is what you sent over and your feeling about Josh Allen. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's why I think for me, he's not a top 3 quarterback, maybe top 5.
Okay.
But guys that are like, oh, Josh Allen, he's gonna get over the hump. I'll believe it when I see it. When it comes to Josh Allen, I just think that he's gonna be another Favre type guy where he'll get you close.
Yes,
he might get you to a Super Bowl, but the turnovers is what's going to kill his career. That's what's going to kill his career.
And those interceptions right up there, and it's all the number is amazing.
That is Favre-like.
Yeah,
that is Favre-like.
That's a good point. But Favre ended up with the Super Bowl, though. So kind of.
Yeah, just one.
Still, it's more than Josh Allen has.
That's true.
But the number that you look at Jared Goff with 56 interceptions in 79 games start, that's a pretty good number as well. Kind of high up on that number compared to games, but it's only three games difference. So kind of basically what Cuervo's saying, give me Jared Goff over Josh Allen.
Yeah, maybe.
Interesting.
You can fail or succeed with both of them, but the problem is you probably aren't going to go. I mean, Jared Goff has actually got a ring, though, doesn't he?
No, Jared Goff doesn't. They went to the Super Bowl, but weren't able to win.
Right.
So, but he was at least there. He was at least there, unlike the Buffalo Bills is Midas or what's that thing Achilles heel is the Chiefs. I mean, it's just what it is. What it is. Outside of one,
that's a league Achilles heel right now. Until you beat them, I mean, the entire league is having to deal with them.
Exactly, and based upon what what one Patrick Mahomes has been able to do for what now 9 years, winning that freaking division. You know, as many times as they have won it, and as many times they've won the Super Bowl, as many times they've been to the AFC Championship game, and you can't even get a sniff of the crotch of the AFC Championship game.
Time out.
You got to question it.
How many years has Patrick Mahomes played in the NFL?
Say again?
How many years has Patrick Mahomes played in the NFL?
Not 9. I'm just saying that's how many they've won. 9. I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes, but the Chiefs, they've won the AFC Championship game, like I think 8 or 9 times now. Like that's
With
what
that,
they've
with
been
Patrick
on.
Mahomes?
But no, it started obviously before Patrick
Mahomes just finished his 6th year.
Yeah,
If you include the rookie year he didn't play.
right.
He's actually started 5 seasons. He's won 3 rings.
Right, 5 seasons, 3 rings.
Right.
But the Chiefs have won that division how many years in a row, Cuervo? Maybe with a split with one in there. I think it's like 8 or 9 years they've won. They've sat there and won that division.
Yeah, I think they've won it like 4 years in a row.
I thought you were saying they won conference wise. I'm like, no.
No.
Mahomes got there.
But no, but getting before Mahomes got there, they had a hard time getting up and over, obviously. But he's the one that brought it home. He's the reason why.
Even Joe Montana couldn't get them up and over. He got them close, but he couldn't get them up and over. Close.
Which is also another reason why when people argue about Joe Montana, I got to give a little respect on that with what he almost was able to do with the Chiefs, but wasn't able to get done.
But dude, he had Marcus Allen as his running back at the time. He had a pretty good set of wide receivers around him, and once again, he made them pretty good for what they were. He didn't have Jerry Rice there, or John Taylor, but he had a pretty substantial. But remember one thing: this is also back when the AFC was the lesser of the conferences too. They were not winning Super Bowls anytime any percent. So, in having to go through the NFC East quite a bit with the Giants, Redskins, and Cowboys 3 out of 4 years, along with the Niners. I mean, that was just an onslaught. I mean, once again, if you won the AFC Championship game, that was a Super Bowl. Oh, we got to play one extra game. It's a Super Bowl. Oops.
Right.
So hey, boys, it's almost that time. I got to go to work, but good seeing you, Cuervo, and had a lot of fun with the draft thing, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we might put it together to where we can do that. Sounds good. Have a good one, Podfather. Always a pleasure. And next time I see you, I'll bring you something, and we're ready to go. Oh, I forgot to bow to the master as far as the picture.
Yes. Well, first of all, I need to lift the restraining order first for you to see me. Okay.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Gotcha. All right. So all good to go.
Yeah. Right. The mad love. Get out of here. He's the Podfather. The nuts. Now, that being said, Cuervo, I saved this and mainly because I thought this was interesting. We talked about Marvin Harrison Jr. Just a few weeks ago when you were able. And now, so I wanted to get this out here. Here is they're filing suit against the card. Now, this is not about the Players Association portion of it. This is about what he signed when he was in college with the fanatic side of what is going on. And Marvin Harrison Jr. still, by the way, has not signed the Players Association one. It's that's where here, this one right here. So Harrison not signed his NFL Players Association group licensing agreement, which would allow the union to market him and his number to 85 companies that they have there. But as far as what the lawsuit is, the lawsuit states that on April 23rd, 2024, they asked Fanatics for a copy of the binding short-term sheet for his son, meaning they wanted to re-see the contract. I don't know why they would not have that contract to see it, but now after his dad gets a hold of it, the suit has said that he told the company that Harrison doesn't have a deal with Fanatics, and something tells me, Cuervo, as much as and I want Marvin Harrison to be able to do what he is doing, but now he's getting it coming at a different direction with a different company, and he still hasn't signed up as far as you can't go out and get a Marvin Harrison jersey anymore. And he's still fighting about that. You can't buy a Marvin Harrison jersey on his own website. He's pissed off about that as well. So there's a lot of things that are going on regarding Marvin Harrison. Is it at a point to where this is going to be the distraction? Because we can sit and talk about it all day long, and depending on who you're talking to, some people think that let's talk about it. Troy McBride, he thinks that he's capable of an MVP season, but obviously because of who he has, all set and ready to go to play. But are these outside distractions going to get in the way, Cuervo?
Yeah. Think? Do I think a distraction? No, I don't. I don't necessarily think he, the person, will. I think from a business standpoint, yeah, it's going to obviously be an issue, but that's outside of football. That
Right.
has nothing to do with his obligation to be at camp and all that stuff. It's just going to be a thing outside off the field, and from a business standpoint. Um, I just think it's this thing is just so dumb, Sonny. It really is. I don't know what kind of advice he's getting, if it's from his dad or if it's from somebody else. This whole fanatics thing and this whole like jersey selling thing, like he I don't know who's got it in his head or something that he's different from everyone else. Like, you know, all I know is people that want to talk about how Caleb Williams is a diva. He seems to be playing by the rules, and he's got all his legal shit. Excuse my language. All his legal stuff all lined up. It's all set. You can go buy his jersey anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Anywhere they sell jersey, you can find a Caleb Williams jersey. So who really is the diva? Who really is the sideshow? Who really is the the distraction? It's Marvin Harrison Jr. right now when it comes to all that other stuff. But look, I think the organization, as long as he shows up for training camp at the end of July, whenever it starts for the Arizona Cardinals, they probably don't want anything to do with all that other crap, Sonny. But
Exactly.
For Marvin's sake, and this goes on Dad too, because first impression is everything. Okay. Arizona Cardinals knew they had a good chance to draft this guy. Arizona Cardinal fans knew. If you want to be well liked and well respected in the Arizona Cardinals fan base and in Oregon, then stop trying to be so different. I'm just going to say it. Stop trying to be different. I'm not saying play by the rules. I'm just saying stop trying to be different, as in, well, I'm going to make my own brand of clothing. And because I'm going to tell you right now, nobody's going to buy it.
Or if they do, how long will they buy it?
You ain't that special to where like, oh, I got to have a Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. I mean, he's it's almost like he's trying to market himself based off of Dad's name, to be honest with you. And
or in reality, just
work.
too much in reality. It's just getting in the way, as far as that's concerned. So I get it, but I still am shocked that a lot of people are not for him to try to get more money based upon what everybody else does. He's just doing a little bit different. I'm still shocked that a lot of people are not necessarily on his side, and a lot of people are not, including you and a lot of people that are talking about this whole situation. I think a lot of people think, how much money do you need, when they're thinking about this. But at the same time, I get why he's doing it, and how much money will he be able to make, and what will finally come to bed? What will be the difference compared to him doing it now or back when he should have done it to compare to where it is now. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing what that difference will be and how much of an impact of the decision on when and why and how much he signed for will make a difference for anybody else. So we'll see if that ends up happening. So hasn't signed that thing, by the way. But now, you weren't on air when this came down. I wanted to get your opinion on it. With the Chicago Bears being on Hard Knocks, depending on who you believe and how you believe and what people say, how much of a distraction that this, Hard Knocks is all about and everything going through the training camp and everything else. Cuervo, how excited are you to see this in reality? As far as the excitement to see it, comparing how much of an effect that has on your team moving forward, starting in week number 1.
Yeah, that's the thing, Sonny. So I don't like the distraction that it's going to create, because I think when you have cameras on you, sometimes whether you want to admit it or not, you tend to not do what you normally would do. You tend to not be who you normally would be, because you got to put on the show for the cameras.
Yep.
I want the Bears to practice how they want to practice. I want them to be able to communicate how they want to communicate, do all the things that they want to do in a more natural way, not, well, we got to put on a show for the cameras and whatnot. That's what I don't like. Now, that being said, name of the show, am I going to watch it? Yeah, you're damn right I'm going to watch it because it's my team, and I want to see what's going on with the team. I want to see how they're doing things, and how's Caleb interacting with the vets, and how's Romodunze interacting with the vets. How is a guy like DJ Moore? Is he kind of like mentoring, or Keenan Allen? Is he kind of mentoring the rooks? What is practice looking like? Because I'm going to tell you, based on what I saw week 1 last year against Green Bay,
right?
Training camp looked like it was freaking summer camp. Okay.
Right.
So we need helmets cracking. We need pads, busting with each other. We need some physical stuff going on in training camp this year. We need matter of fact, they need to be practicing harder than they would be playing in a game.
I agree.
That's how intense practice needs to be.
I agree.
Because that way you're fully prepared for week 1.
But is it a built-in excuse for them to, having a bad season? I mean, there's a built-in excuse. You got all these cameras and everything. So do you see them falling back up on that as far as the excuse on how bad the season may end up happening?
And and that's going to be up to Matt Eberflus, the head coach. Like, hey, are we going to allow the cameras and the sideshow to change how we're approaching training camp, or are we just going to do what we know? We're going to just pretend like the cameras are not even there, and that might be the case because we've seen. I'm not a Hard Knocks watcher, but if I'm not mistaken, Sonny, they've caught some pretty crazy things on that show as they're happening. Fights breaking out. Things that are being said to each other. The crappy part when guys get cut. I know they show some of that too, but you know what? I mean, that is the side of the NFL that makes teams what they are. You got to make the tough decisions to cut guys. You have to have those hard practices. You have to have as stupid as it sounds, you got to have those moments where guys get into it with each other, because when it's all said and done, when the smoke clears, it brings them together that much more. And so you got to have those moments happen. And for the Bears, I hope they don't just turn it into a big sideshow.
And that's what you got to worry about. But what, interestingly enough, last year we had that mid-season Hard Knocks. I hated it, by the way. It was horrible. It affected the team that was in the running for the playoffs. I believe that being Miami Dolphins. And now, guess what? The mid-season gets a little bit more crazier. Here it is, Cuervo. Hard Knocks is going to go to 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 teams in the middle of the season and do a Hard Knocks with a whole division of football. So it's really kind of interesting when you think about what the NFL is doing and how they're doing it, what they're doing to make money, how they're making the money, what they're doing to make the money. And this right here gets you right in the middle of what is going on week in, week out at a vital time during the season. And I hate this. I hated it for the Dolphins. I hate I'm good. Yeah, and I go back to making the excuses for the Dolphins. I think it really hurt them. I really did, because of the fact that they could not concentrate on football 100%. They were going maybe 80%, 75% because of the cameras that were going on. Plus, they couldn't practice or do what they wanted to do because they didn't want it out for everybody to see. Even though all this is being played later on down the road, it still opens them up to where people can see what their playbook is and everything else. And I really hate this. Now, if you're going to do it, I think the training camp is the place to actually do it. There's no question about that. I think they really need to 86 this idea of not putting just 1, but now 4 teams in the middle of the season in December, going in December through midseason. It's such a horrible idea for the quality of football that you will see out on the football field. I think it takes away from it.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll see if it's proven to be true that it does affect teams. We'll see how the Ravens end their season. We'll see if the Bengals stay healthy, if they're in contention for playoffs. Do they start to struggle during November, December? I don't count much on the Browns being in it. And the Steelers, it's like we say, whenever we think that they're not going to be in it, they are. So yeah, I'm gonna leave the Steelers as a maybe not. But the more interesting team is going to be the Ravens and the Bengals. Those are going to be the two that are going to be the most attention.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do, Cuervo, because number one, I need to get coffee. I need to hit the head, get refreshed. We're going to go into a break, but when we come back, there was a big decision and big lawsuit with the idea of the NFL, what they're doing.
Yes.
And I want to talk about it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take about a 4-minute break. And I'll leave the background with the Couch Potato Sports Show after our commercial. We'll be right back, and we'll be back in, let's say, about 4 minutes. We'll knock this out and talk about the big story that came down this week. I'm looking forward to getting Cuervo's look and what he thinks about what ended up happening regarding the what's that called? The NFL. What's it? That package called? The NFL package.
Yeah, Sunday ticket.
Yeah, the Sunday ticket. That's what that came down. We got a couple of things to talk about that. We'll do that after the break. We'll be back here in about 4 minutes. Thanks for joining us on the Couch Potato Sports Show. We'll be right back. Hear from our sponsors, Mint Mobile. Sonny don't pay. I don't pay. I don't know if you know it, Cuervo. I don't have to pay a cell phone bill until August of 2025. How about that? There we go. So check it out. Yeah. I'm already done. Check it out. It's Mint Mobile. We'll be back here on the Couch Potato Sports Show.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Big Wireless has once again raised their prices. In response, we're bringing back our deflation promotion. The marketing department asked me to be as explicit as possible when explaining it. So here we go. Because we don't love f***ing our customers over like Big Wireless. We're bringing back our offer for f***ing unlimited premium wireless for only $15 a month. Me to the moon and back. That's a great f***ing deal. Explicit enough marketing f***s. Recently, and for no reason at all, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" Do you know how big their legal department is, face? So to recap, Mint is actually lowering prices on every plan to just $15 a month. And I will stay the hell out of the legal department.
All right, we are back here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Little altar time, 10-1 here on the Couch Potato Sports Show, because we get a little bit more time with Cuervo, so we went ahead and decided to do that and bring him on. He'll be back here in just a moment, I imagine, as we are talking lots of things. Great day here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. We had Trey Mack on a little bit earlier. Great talk. We did something that was kind of just right off the top of our head. And I kind of like the fact that it was off the top of the head, doing just a quick 3 fantasy all-time who would you have kind of thing. That was a lot of fun, and we're going to try to put it together and have more than just 3 people doing it. It should be a kick in the pants, and I would love to get Tom McManus to be able to do something like that. But teams that, I mean, obviously, when you do something like this, you figure out who's going to do what, when, why, and all that good stuff. But I love the picks. I'm going to go back to him here just really quick here. As far as Trey Mack's team was concerned, he went with the GOAT at the quarterback position, of course, that being Tom Brady. Then at the running back, he went ahead and took Cuervo's pick, Walter Payton, and then Cuervo's pick at the wide receiver position, that being Randy Moss. And then he kind of went off. I kind of like the pick. Lynn Swan. Loved Lynn Swan. Loved what he did, obviously, based upon the time. He was kind of like one of those guys that put it together, the athleticism of a guy that can do what he does. So I like that. Then Jay Novacek at the tight end position. Then we went one defensive interior lineman. He took LT, and then he took Bobby Taylor in the secondary. Cuervo, he went ahead as quarterback, went with the Sheriff Peyton Manning. Then he took Barry Sanders, which he took my pick. That's who I would have picked. Then kind of went off a little bit on the as far as wide receivers. He went Megatron, Calvin Johnson. I don't know. I looking at that, I found it an interesting pick of all time. Then he grabbed up, Tyreek Hill. Another interesting pick, kind of just starting your team out. Speed kills, man. It does. It's just hard to defend. Then Antonio Gates, which was no surprise to me. I knew that's who he was going to take, just based upon some of our conversations that we have had in the past, regarding such a great time. Then defensively, he started in the secondary first, went Deion Sanders, kind of took a little bit away from one Trey Mack. And then Derek Thomas back in the on the interior lineman. My team, I went Dan Marino at the quarterback position, based upon the fact that I couldn't have the GOAT and then couldn't have Manning. So basically, those are right there at that time. And the running back, I went Eric Dickerson. Now, granted, I mean, there are many people that could have been picked as far as the running backs are concerned. And the big list, and I went Eric Dickerson based upon what I've seen from him in the past, the type of runner that he is, what he does, how he does it, and when he played, what was he all about? So looking at where that came from, and I'm going to put the graphic back up because there are many I could have picked. Adrian Peterson, Earl Campbell, and Derek Dickerson, at least up on this list, doesn't even come close. He's at number 20. And believe me, I like all of it. But I think Eric Dickerson needs to be a lot higher on this list. I think he's so much better than a Marshawn Lynch ever was at number 13. And I think he was better than Tiki. I think he was better than Tony as well. So I would probably move him up probably within the top 10, moving him around trying to figure. Jim Brown definitely needs to be in the top 10. So he was going to be my second if someone grabbed him up. And again, Larry Zonka, another guy that, kind of defined the position in reality. Larry Zonka on this list, at least at number 15. I totally there is nobody on this list besides Frank Gore. Comparison would be to Amon Green, Fred Taylor, Deuce McAllister, and Mark Ingram. I would put him ahead of those guys. Anybody else on this list, I would not put him on there. Anybody that is in the Hall of Fame, Frank Gore is last within the Hall of Fame. And yeah, I said it, and I'll keep saying it again. Frank Gore is quite possibly one of the most overrated running backs in the NFL history just because he's number 3. Number 3 doesn't mean anything. Now, if you want to give him an Iron Man award for playing for as long as he did, wonderful. Well, I'm telling you right now, there's a name on this list that's not there, which is Shaun Alexander. He can't even carry Shaun Alexander's jock. So Frank Gore being number 5 is a complete slap in the face to Earl Campbell. It take away the murdering son of a gun, O.J. Simpson, Tony Dorsett, Jim Brown. He's better than Jim. See, so those that think that Frank Gore should be ahead of Jim Brown, you don't know football. I am so tired of hearing about how great Frank Gore was. He wasn't and isn't, and you're slapping Jim Brown. You're bitch slapping Jim Brown. You should be embarrassed to even come close to thinking that Frank Gore can carry Jim Brown's job. It's insulting. There he is, Cuervo. We are back. Thanks, but I mean, I get it. I understand Frank Gore number 3, but God, there's a lot of it. And I don't know how much you know of Shaun Alexander of the Seahawks when he played. If you were going to take a running back, do you take Shaun Alexander or Frank Gore?
Oh God. Ugh. Those are really bad choices, Sonny. But I don't know. I maybe I take Shaun Alexander. I don't know.
You had to worry about a little Shaun Alexander. That guy was a stud. And he didn't even come close to playing the years, but he's got more touchdowns than Frank Gore. He didn't even come close to playing the many years as far as that is concerned. But it is what it is. Now, that being said, as promised, coming back from the break, we're talking the big story of the week. I think it's the biggest story of the week, mainly as viewers. Now, granted, I don't know about you. I never had the NFL Sunday ticket, never, because I never just wanted it since the NFL Red Zone and Sky Hansen came out years ago. I haven't watched any of it. The only games I watch in full are the primetime games. It's the only ones I watch when I watch them. I watch it by the NFL Red Zone. So this is a little bit different as far as that is concerned. Here's what the story came down. The NFL was ordered to pay about $4.7 billion in damages for violating the antitrust law. Okay, now this is according to Mike Farello. Just to give everybody, 96 million will go to the commercial establishments in the class, and then the remaining 4 billion recovery will go to residential customers. That number is kind of fake, isn't it, Cuervo? In reality, what is it? It's around 12 to 14 billion based upon how the order is going to be paid. That number's tripled in reality, which puts it at around $14 billion. Now, I, and I might be in the minority on this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to back off. You saw what was going on. You see what's going on. You being a football fan, what is your take upon this antitrust lawsuit that was now granted it was brought down. It's going to go into, they're going to appeal it until the end of time in reality, or until they can settle it. But what's your take upon the verdict in that case?
Yeah, Sonny, it's tricky because when you're getting into like legal stuff, it's a lot of he said, she said. It's a lot of what can you prove. It's a lot of what was in black and white at the time. So, um, going back to what you originally asked or what we were talking about, I did have Sunday ticket for one season. I tried it for one season.
How much did it
I
cost?
thought it was. This was back in 2008, 9, maybe 10, something like that. And because I had DirecTV.
Before Red Zone? I think that was before Red Zone, right?
Yeah, I think it was before Red Zone, maybe a year before or so. But it was an extra, I want to say $300 or $400 on top of my monthly cable bill, my monthly DirecTV bill. They added the $300 or $400 to it. Actually I paid a portion of it to start off, and I think they broke it up over the course of like 6 months or something like that.
Yeah, got it.
But it was added to my bill for sure.
Did you feel it was unfair? I guess that's the question I'm asking you. Did you feel that it was unfair? Because when I'm looking at this thing, and also understand that I don't have the legal mind, nor do I care to jump into antitrust, because I don't understand the antitrust portion of this. But what I think I've got a problem with is the fact that they're a business. They're allowed to charge what they want to charge. It's their business, and how the government and or a court case can jump into there to dictate on what they can charge, how much they can charge, when they can charge. I just find, and listen, I'm no fan of the NFL and how much money that they make, but guess what? They're the ones that put the product together. It's their product. So I'm finding a problem with any kind of judgment against the NFL, even though I'm not a great big fan of how they make their money.
Yeah, Sonny, I think the issue is not how much they were charged. Yeah, it was expensive, but listen, if you're willing to pay, then it's worth it to you, right? So that's not the issue. The issue is what you were getting, or what you were told you were getting.
Oh, really?
For that money.
Okay.
Right? What you were told you were getting was basically you're getting all the games if I'm not mistaken, to include the out of market games.
Right.
Well,
correct.
That wasn't always happening from what it sounds like.
Oh, I did not know that was the side of that. Got it.
Yeah. So the side of this is the out of market part, or the blackout games. So I think who it really affected, it didn't affect me because my team is 2,000 miles away from here.
Right.
So I got to catch every Bears game. It was outside of the local area. But like, say for you live close to Dallas, right? Let's say you're a Cowboys fan. I want to watch all the Cowboy games. Well, you can't do it through DirecTV because you got there's the blackout stuff.
I remember the blackout days.
Right. So it was kind of like one of those things where, even nowadays, people they don't have regular TV anymore. Regular TV is a thing of the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, local channels, whatever, you can't really use that anymore. So basically, like for local businesses, like a bar or whatever, I think what it had something to do with like not being able to show games or something like that
Correct.
because they were blacked out, or certain like game of the week or whatever was blacked out because it was the local team.
Right.
Yeah, so I think it has something to do with that. I need to read more into it myself.
The bar's got a lot
Um,
of money, and the bar's got a lot of money as far as that was concerned. I'm going to get that graphic back up. I think it's this one. Overcharged for the Sunday ticket, based upon it, and on their now the streaming package is definitely a portion of it. Now go back to this. So the commercial establishments, that being the bars and things of that sort, and the remaining 4.54 billion will go to the residential, but they got 96 million for all the bars and things of that sort. It's a little different. The 4 billion to residential customers is actually, again, around 14.5 billion, because you got to multiply that based upon the judgment times 3. That part I don't understand why they're doing that, but that goes back into the legal portions of it. But that's what the number comes
yeah,
out to. So big time loss in reality when you're talking that much money. It's almost like having bringing in a new NFL football team. So in order to pay for this, they got to bring in a new NFL football team, or maybe two, in order to cover the losses of this, judgment that was handed down. So I think we'll probably see more speed on what we were talking about earlier in the show, bringing on 2 more teams within the league, and how they're going to do it, and who's going to pay what, how they're going to pay it, and why they're going to pay it in reality.
yeah, and I think I need to read it a couple times so I need to really fully grasp what's going on. But it talks a lot about the out of market games. So
Mhm.
yeah, like game of the week and all that stuff, and it is basically saying that the lawsuit claimed the league broke antitrust laws by selling its package of Sunday games at an inflated price. So I guess it is partially it's about the price of it too, saying that it was just a ridiculous amount of money. The subscribers also say the league restricted competition by offering Sunday ticket only on a satellite provider. Okay, I mean it's a choice, right?
It's a
Nobody's putting a gun to
contract.
your
It's
head
a
and saying,
contract. It's like going from ABC to NBC, and things of that sort. It's just
yeah, nobody's
interesting.
nobody's forcing you to get the package if you don't want it, right?
Right.
Uh, but at the same time, the NFL tried to be slick in saying, "Well, we do offer it. We offer it through NFL Plus. We offer it through Red Zone." No, dude, that's that. No, you cutting in on out of a game. That's not providing the game to somebody that is not interested in Red Zone. They want to watch the whole
Exactly.
game, and that's not what you offer, but you're going to try to use red zone as, oh well, I mean, that it's there. No, no, nice try,
Yeah.
nice loophole that you tried to get uh worked, because even the league statement right here, it talks about it. It goes, we continue to believe that our media distribution strategy, which features all NFL games broadcast on free over the air television in the markets of the participating teams, and national distribution of our most popular games, supplemented by many additional choices, including Red Zone, Sunday Ticket, and NFL Plus, is by far the most fan friendly distribution model in all of sports and entertainment.
Hmm.
Well, the thing is, you got people that you may not be able to afford all those extra add-ons.
Yep.
And they're lucky to even get the Sunday ticket, or they're looking just for the add-ons, and it's not necessarily what they're looking for in being able to watch the whole game. So, it's going to be a push and pull situation, Sonny. Obviously, consumers they want the most for the cheapest. Businesses want to sell the least for the most amount of money. So it's going to be a tug of war. It's going to be back and forth, and I mean, there's going to have to be a universal package that the NFL offers that's fair to everybody, that's affordable to everybody. Because the
Is
NFL.
that because it's over the air?
No,
And
listen, Sonny, you and I know the NFL makes tons of money.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the NFL makes tons of money in other ways. Like this whole TV thing, I just think it's so petty to fight back and forth about. You can make money in other ways. You make money in hundreds of other ways in the league. I'm sure the TV part, the Sunday ticket part, is a small part of it, but it's going to eventually it's going to turn people off where and it already is, because you got a game on Peacock, a game on you got Thursday nights on Amazon Prime. You're gonna have a game on Netflix. You're gonna
3 of them.
have. I heard you guys talking about it earlier. Is there gonna be a game that they're gonna start doing on HBO Max? Wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me if they did that. Could they possibly do like a Hulu game? There might be a Hulu game for all we know.
Mhm.
Now Hulu might get involved in this, and so now you got to subscribe to all these different things, and you're still fighting about YouTube TV and Sunday Ticket.
Yeah. Interesting. It's an interesting story. It's an interesting business. And again, me being not the, you know, I don't understand why this whole thing is a problem in the first place. It's their product. They can sell it the way they want. And if you want it, you buy it. If you don't, you won't. If you don't want to watch it, you'll turn the channel.
That's
All
it.
these other things that goes. And I think that's a fair way of kind of looking at it, because guess what? As much as I like reality TV, Cuervo, I'm not going to watch the Big Housewives of Atlanta. I'm going to watch something else in that, or Love Island. I mean, so it's a pick and choose kind of thing, and I don't understand how they're under some kind of rules that they can't do what they want to do with their product. So it'll be real interesting. I'm going to dive a little bit deeper. Of course, I didn't have time to do it because this came down, if I'm not mistaken, Thursday. So I'm going to dive a little bit deeper and finding out why this is such a big deal, more so than just going off the top of my head. If you don't want it, don't buy it. I don't, so maybe we'll find out something a little bit more as far as the story and what it's about. We'll check back in on that one when we'll do a roundabout and check about it next week. But that being said, I also ran into this, and I thought this would be really interesting to talk about. And I wanted you to be here more so than not. So I've been saving this for a while. We got 12 current players that I got on these lists right here that making the call on these guys making the actual Hall of Fame. So I'm going to put these up, Cuervo. Here's the first slide of it with names that are on it. And I'm looking at this, and these are off of the website. It was CBS. This comes from CBS, and I'm not sure who does the votes. But look, there's 10, evidently 10 votes in reality, or something like that. But DeAndre Hopkins, Cameron Jordan, and Kyle Schuschnigg. So I'll just put it out there. The Cameron Jordan, I think, is one that you've got to put in as far as that is concerned when you're looking at this. But is DeAndre Hopkins, is this guy Hall of Fame worthy, do you think, Cuervo? I mean, we know the name, we know how good he is, but really in reality, Cuervo, is this guy maybe a Hall of Famer or not? I mean, we obviously we joke about, the Frank Gore situation, but what do you think about that when you take a look at that? Is Hopkins a future Hall of Famer, you think?
I think Hopkins is borderline. I think it depends on how his career ends. Because Hopkins, for what, 3 maybe 4 years, he was considered, at least I think, maybe top 2 to top 3 receiver in the league.
With
He
that
was.
quarterback. With that
With
quarterback.
Watson. Before Watson got in all of his trouble, that Watkins, that Watson to DeAndre Hopkins connection was really good, like real
Right.
good. The other two, I'm going to say no. I like Cam Jordan. I don't think he was ever considered the best pass rusher. He's always been a very solid player. Maybe his stats get him in, but I don't know. I mean, Cam Jordan's a nice player. He's a real good player. I just don't know. I don't think he really has Hall of Fame worthy. To me, he's not. And Juszczyk, I mean, he's a fullback, man. It's hard for those guys to get in because
very hard.
You gotta
very hard.
You get compared to running backs. You're compared to a running back. And I guess the standard for a fullback would be Mike Allstott, right? That would probably be the standard. So you compare him to Mike Allstott's career,
Matsui.
and you're like, okay, is it favorable? Yeah, Matsui. Well, Matsui's he should have been first ballot, but 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 as
when
far
I
as
was younger,
fullbacks,
boy, I loved him. I loved me some Matsui, boy. You couldn't.
I'm sure you
tell
did.
me
I'm
any
sure
different.
you did, Sonny.
He was a big dude. He was so wide, it was unbelievable. I loved it. All right, so
He's
that
a
was
bowling
the
ball.
first. Yeah, that was the first slide. Here is the next three on the list here: Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen, and Mike Evans. And obviously these they're all still playing. And things like that. So, but kind of based upon now, when you look at this one, Cuervo, what's your take up on these three?
Yeah, I think Keenan Allen's a no, even though he's a Bear now. I've always questioned him because of his injury history.
Yes.
Mike Evans, I think Mike Evans is a really consistent guy. And he does have a Super Bowl championship.
He does. Mm-hmm.
So I think he's got a good chance. It depends on how his career ends. Devontae Adams, man, that one's tough. That one's tough because he's put up some big numbers. I just think you got to let his career finish and see where he's at, and when it's all said and done.
Last 3 years been with the Raiders has been lackluster at best. But now that's not necessarily his fault because obviously you had Aaron Rodgers throwing them the football for all those years, and then he ends up going to Derek Carr, for God's sake, and they can't even get on the same page enough to at least to design 20 plays to get the ball to Devontae Adams. You can't get the ball to Devontae Adams. You're not paying attention on how the game is played. So, that's one of those things I think based upon if he was still a Packer and with Aaron Rodgers, of course. But whether or not he can adapt to a new quarterback, I'm with you, Cuervo. We got to see more from him in the next 3 years. And maybe if we can put this to the side, what he's done for the last 3 years based upon who was throwing him the football, maybe a new regime at the quarterback position for him to move forward to be more considered. But I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
So those are the first 6. Here are the next 3 that are out there as far as those are concerned.
Okay.
Man, I am flipping the coin on one. I don't even know why you wouldn't think the other 2 would be. And they're not based upon the votes that are on this thing. So, Cuervo, looking at Derrick Henry, Cameron Hayward, and Tyreek Hill, what's your take up on these 3 with their possibilities of making it into the Hall of Fame when they're eligible?
I think Derrick Henry's got a shot. Oh, man, Cam Hayward, I don't know. Nice player, real good player. I know Bryce would probably think I'm on drugs. I think it's a no as well. Tyreek Hill, again, for Tyreek Hill, it's way too early in his career, but when it's all said and done, I absolutely do think Tyreek Hill will be a Hall of Famer. I do.
Cuervo, I am going to go out on that saying Tyreek Hill is definitely one. I'll give you the reason why he did with what he did with Patrick Mahomes. Now, if you look at the last, 2 seasons that he's been there with Tua and stuff, and the numbers that were being put up during those times, now, granted, they didn't result to anything. They didn't result to a Super Bowl championship or, for that matters, an AFC championship game. But I'm going to tell you right now, the numbers that Tyreek Hill has been putting up with Tua at the quarterback position,
They're even better.
even exactly. I think that actually kind of cements him. Now, even though there's no question, Tua's first option, his first option is going to be Hill, and if it's not, he needs to get his head examined. But at the same time, I think him not being a definite, I think he's definitely there. The Derrick Henry one is the one I'm questioning about. I think Cameron Hayward, by the time he's going to be said and done, I think he is definitely going to be a guy that you can say. Now, granted, understand what team he plays for. Granted, figure out who else is on that football team.
That might be a boost
in
for
a
him.
JJ Watt. I can see him still getting it in, even with the JJ Watt, flanking the other side. But Derrick Henry, as much as he's been able to do, it's really I guess what I'm thinking when I make the statement, I think it's about a 4-year gap for him. That was, oh my God, this guy's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And then the injuries happened. And then we're getting what we see in Derrick Henry last year. Let's be honest, it was mediocre at best. And if that continues on with the rest of it, I'm questioning whether or not Derrick Henry can make it into the Hall of Fame. Based upon what has happened, where he is, because let's just put this up here. You can see what's going on. You see the numbers, you see the difference, and based upon Barry Sanders, these are the first 8 seasons, and Barry Sanders did not play all that much. And Derrick Henry, he's still got long years to go if he wants to continue. But right now, he's not carrying Barry Sanders' jock per se. So I think I question whether or not I would put a Derrick Henry and as a solid guy where you go, yep, that guy's definitely Hall of Fame worthy, based upon kind of those numbers, based upon a Barry Sanders, who is definitely a Hall of Famer. But at the same time, and I know we're slamming him because I'm good at it, but Derrick Henry, Frank Gore, who do you take? Just in reality, just so I can prove my point in reality, do you take a Frank Gore over a Derrick Henry? Based upon this, and even only the years that Henry has played to this time compared to the 16 years that Frank Gore played.
I think that's actually kind of a tough one. I think I lean towards Derrick Henry just because, he's the more physical back, and he made
demands
better
attention, maybe?
He's made better plays. Yeah, he's just made better plays. I mean, when you can stiff arm a guy and throw him 5 yards down the field, come on, man.
Yeah,
come
exactly.
on. Who doesn't want that? Come on.
Yeah.
But I mean, the physicality of Derrick Henry is what separates him from Frank Gore.
Absolutely. Instead of running around defenders, he runs over them. So if he can continue on as far as his injury portion is concerned, how he's going to react for the next couple of years, I think is a big time. He'll make the decision on the Hall of Fame. Now, the last 3 that are on the placard, I am with the votes. I don't think any of them are in. And I thought it was kind of interesting how they threw Matthew Stafford and Russell Wilson in the same plat, because they're basically the same guy in reality, right, Cuervo? Except for the fact that Russell's been to 2 Super Bowls. He won 1, and Stafford has been, he's 1-1. Depending on what you think about that record, the 1-1 compared to 1-1, or 1-1 or 1-0. With Stafford. So what do you think about that placard as far as those guys are concerned?
I think Jalen Ramsey's a maybe. The other 2 are no.
I agree. Right now, Ramsey has had a great career. Obviously, the only one Jaguar we can kind of think, about. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
hey, here we go. Now, if you want to
He
think
was.
Fred Taylor's a Hall of Famer, you can go ahead and, with all due respect to my buddy Tom McManus, he's not Fred Taylor's not a Hall of Famer, and that's coming from a Jaguar fan. And I love me some Fred Taylor, but he's not a Hall of Famer. But Jalen Ramsey, the respect that he commanded when he hit the football field, Cuervo, I think is so much different than a Fred Taylor demanding respect. And I think that's the difference between when I'm thinking about Hall of Famers compared to not Hall of Famers. Do you demand the respect? And Jalen Ramsey, to a certain extent, is that guy who demanded that. However, last season he didn't impress me, and the year before that was mediocre. Outside of that, I think he's had a great career. I think you're right up on. We need to see more from Ramsey in the future to determine whether or not he makes the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, he got hurt for a little while last year.
Yep.
But when he was in the lineup, he what he always does. He shuts down that half of the field.
Yep.
You know, he's just a guy that is very good at shutting your best receiver down. That's what he did. Jacksonville was at the that was the peak of what he was doing, but yeah, I mean, even with Miami last year, yeah, when he was healthy, he had a good see. I remember there was one play that sticks out to me because I looked at that play. It was a game-winning interception. I mean, he went flying and he caught it in the end zone to get the game-winning interception. You may remember that play, but it sticks out to me because of how athletic the play was. But at the same time, it was around the same time that my guy Jalen Johnson was like, I want to pay me. I want to get paid. Go make plays like that, Jalen. Then you will get paid. Because prior to that, he was playing mediocre at best. Jalen Johnson was. But then he turned it on as the season went on, and he got his money. So, and I'm happy that Jalen stuck around in Chicago. But Jalen Johnson, not Jalen Ramsey.
Right.
But I mean, that's what you want to see in a corner. You want to see him make game-winning plays like that. So
I think everybody. I mean, when you're looking at your future or even the current, what kind of guy brings you the excitement week in and week out? And not only that, when you look at who he is and what he is all about, how much further it can go forward, it's only adds to the excitement of what your team, whoever that guy may be, brings to your team week in and week out, and how you can depend upon how you see the season moving forward. And when you got Jalen Ramsey on the defensive side of the ball for you, you've got to consider yourself in a really good spot as far as the future is concerned for your football team, I would think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ramsey's a good piece to have. That's for sure.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, now the one thing that I did not do here getting set for the show, Cuervo, and just more than the fact I just wasn't looking for the picture per se, except for the one that you sent in, and I want to talk about with you. We're going to go over just a little bit. It's the LeBron Bronny situation in LA. Now, normally we're talking a lot of football, but here is the big story, the second biggest story I think of the week. Guys that are getting passed over, guys that have not been drafted right now as we speak. And there's Bronny James at number 55 getting drafted to the Los Angeles Lakers. And I don't even know what to say on how bad I think this is in reality.
It is bad. I think the Lakers are making a big mistake. Number one, by pleasing LeBron and drafting his son. And let me make something very clear. I've got nothing against Bronny, his son. He's got nothing to do with it. I don't think he has anything to do with it. This was dad pushing the situation. pretty much threatening the team. Oh, draft my son or I'm leaving. Draft my son or I'm leaving.
That's
If
what
you
the
don't believe
majority of the population, Cuervo, is thinking.
if you don't believe for 1 second that didn't happen, you're in denial, and you may be a LeBron, lover or whatever, LeBron, whatever you want to call it. You have to be in tune with the reality of the situation. You could be a LeBron fan all you want, but the facts is the facts. If you don't think for 1 second that he did not tell the organization, draft my son or I'm leaving, you're crazy. You're in denial. You're
Drinking the LeBron Kool-Aid.
yeah, you're just in denial. I can't think of the word. Yeah, you just don't want to see the reality of the situation. And there are guys that could have gotten drafted, but they didn't.
Right.
And here's the other part, and this goes out to Bryce if he's gonna go back and he listens, or if he's secretly watching right now. You know, Bryce he's calling for nepotism. He says, "Oh well, don't forget about all these other situations too." Look, I don't think anybody was arguing if it was nepotism or not, but it was. And if you think that I'm picking the Braun situation over those other ones, saying that that's not nepotism, all of it's nepotism.
Yes.
So I'm calling it across the board. Anytime a situation like that happens, where I'm going to hire my kid, the Jones family in Dallas with Trey's Cowboys, that was all nepotism. LeBron situation, nepotism. The Golden State Warriors, because I looked at the article, with the Golden State Warriors, that the son of the executive that they hired, that was nepotism too. All of it's nepotism. Nobody's exempt from getting that label put on them. For me, it's all nepotism.
Well, you can kind of understand the nepotism for the Cowboys and the ownership because they own the team. So to me, that's a little bit more understandable. We always say, and you can say whatever you want about the saying, is having the inmates run the asylum, and that's what we get with this pick and with a LeBron James.
Yeah, and how's that working out, Sonny? How many championships has the Dallas Cowboys won? Seriously, how many championships have they won with, oh, I'm going to hire my son to do this, and I'm going to hire my other son to do that, and my daughter to do this? And look, I get it. It's family. You want to take care of your family. I understand all that. But if they are not the best fit for the job, then you're only hurting your own pockets. You got to hire the best people for your business. And if that happens to be your own son, cool. Bill Belichick hired his son on his defensive coaching staff. How'd that work out? Man, the guy was a meme every other weekend from some stupid face he was making. You think that worked out? No, it's not working out. But you know what's funny? Did Michael Jordan's son get drafted? Did he push for his son to get drafted? No, he didn't. He didn't use his name. Yeah, he didn't use his name to say, "Hey, one of you NBA teams," or when he was owning the Charlotte Hornets, "Hey, we're drafting my son." Like he gave his GM an order to draft his son. Did he do that? No,
I don't think
because he knows his son did not earn that. But see, LeBron wants to make it easy for his kid. He wants to give him the easy route. Just make it easy. It's not going to work out, Sonny. I'm telling you. They're gonna give him a roster spot too. They're not gonna send him to the D League. They're not gonna. That's what they should do. That's what they should do, but they're not going to. They're gonna put him on the 12-man starting roster.
Yes.
And he's gonna be on the bench. And also that way we can make a media freaking circus about it. Now, that being said, do I want to see this happen? I actually do. As much as I hate LeBron, as much as I can't stand him, I think that's going to be a cool moment to see a father and son on the court together, Hasn't
At least
happened in the
recent.
NBA.
They're like the fourth duo that way. But
No,
are
first in NBA history, they're going to
I
be the
did
first one.
I must have
Yes.
misheard something. I thought they were the fourth, so I must have misheard something.
Well, in American sports, baseball, the Griffies.
Oh yeah, okay,
Uh,
maybe that's what it is. Probably the fourth time in I got you, sports history.
yeah, but this will be the first
So,
time in NBA history.
so are you looking forward to it so you can see them fall on their face or succeed, or what's your motivation of wanting to? What is your bias on what you want to see?
History. I want to see
History.
the historical. I want to see the historical side of it. To see a father and son play together in the NBA. That's it.
No,
I just want to see
you're not like
history.
me. You hope it falls on its face because of
No, I
how
don't. Funny.
stupid I think it was.
No, I don't hope for it because I know it's going to happen.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
even. That's what it's going to happen. It's going to think about the submarine that went to the Titanic. You know, that's LeBron and his son. The closer this comes to happening, the closer
Mhm.
they're getting to the Titanic. And once they get to that part where it happens and they start, boom,
Yes.
it's going to implode on its own.
I'm interested in seeing how it falls apart. Now, me being the pessimist that I am, and the admitted LeBron hater, I don't have necessarily anything against Bronny. Okay, I just don't. But here's what I know: there were guys right now that were better basketball players than him and should have maybe taken a spot or earlier, or someone at the end should have got one more shot to get in there based upon what was ended up happening. But I'm telling you right now, if his name was not Bronny James, he would not have been drafted. It is as simple as
I agree.
that. I
I
mean,
agree.
there's not a team in the NBA that would have said, "Oh, I gotta have that." No, he wasn't that impressive in college, and believe me, I get the fact, and that's why I don't have anything against Bronny. Having the pressure of your dad being one of the top three greatest basketball players to ever play. Notice how I said three. It probably should be 5 to 7, but still, that's still a lot of pressure. Some people think he's number one, some people think he's 2 or 3. That's a lot of pressure to live under. And do I don't think this is Bronny's fault at all. I don't think it's his fault. I don't blame him one bit. And you
No.
got to take what is being given to you. Not to say that Bronny won't have any money, but just money of his own, I guess. But more so than his daddy's money, and he'd probably want that for himself. At least I kind of think that more so than if he thinks he's an entitled dude, I can have all the money. He already has all the money in the world. So it's really irrelevant. I think the fact that the Lakers took him at number 55 is the slap in the face to other players in the NBA. And if you think Caitlin Clark is getting beat up in the WNBA, I got news for you. You're going to see some physical play against Bronny based upon who he is. And good, bad, or indifferent, though, Cuervo, I think we're going to see some physical play against that young man based upon when and if what players play against him during the season. I think that's going to be really interesting to see how that all boils down.
Well, but again, do you take it out on that kid and foul him, flagrant foul him on purpose and stuff like that? That's going to make you look bad if you do that. It really is.
And to Bronny's credit, though, Cuervo, he doesn't have the ego his dad has, because I'm going to be honest, I haven't heard 2 words from him per se. Maybe because when he talks, he's not as loud as his dad because he's not LeBron James, but I don't see the ego of Bronny James in reality, which is refreshing because you would think it would be different. Now, I might not be listening long enough or in the right places, but I'm not getting the fact that Bronny James is an egomaniac. So that's why I kind of hope it does work out for him in reality, and hope he gets the opportunity to prove the fact that, yeah, I may not be LeBron James, but I'm Bronny James and I deserve to be in this league. I hope he's able to accomplish that in his career.
Well, so that I have a problem with one of the words that you used there.
Uh-oh. Did I say deserve?
Yeah.
Earn. Sorry. I'm sorry.
No.
I just slapped myself right there, Cuervo. I'm sorry. I did it here. That's a second one I needed. So I'm sorry about that.
No, you don't need to apologize to me, Sonny. It's just the point is, and I actually got that from the scorekeeper. Once I heard him about, you remember
I agree
that.
with it.
Yeah, deserve it makes me cringe now, and I thank him for that.
Yeah,
But,
thanks, scorekeeper. Appreciate it.
but
There's a
yeah,
lot of
no,
things
you
that
gotta,
man has said over the years that still stick with me, so I hate that too. Thanks, scorekeeper. Appreciate it.
yeah, right. But yeah, listen, you gotta earn your place. You gotta
Yeah.
earn your place in the NBA. You gotta earn your place as a professional basketball player, in my opinion. It should never be given to you, ever.
Yeah.
Nothing should be ever given to you, and I think that's the issue that I, you know, along with millions of other people that are NBA fans that may not necessarily are LeBron haters or whatever, uh, but we're just realists about it. Like, there's other guys that put more work in, that have earned an opportunity to be an NBA player, get drafted in the in the NBA draft, because for those guys, that was their one opportunity. You get one
Yep.
shot, you get one night to get drafted into the NBA. And because, LeBron and his ego pretty much told the Lakers to draft my son, or I'm going to seek free agency, you took that away from somebody who worked his ass off for years, high school through college, and that opportunity was taken away. One of the examples that I saw was, I can't remember the dude's name. I don't watch enough college basketball to remember. Kid was like, he was like one of the main players for North Carolina State, and they got into the Final
I
Four.
saw that. Yeah, I think I saw the same graphic you're talking about.
Yeah, a guy was averaging 17 points and like 8 rebounds a game or something like that, and got his team into the Final Four. Yeah, I don't even think USC made the NCAA tournament this past year.
I think they made the NIT.
But yet this guy didn't get drafted. Yeah, that guy who got his team in the Final Four couldn't even get drafted. Okay.
Yep.
And don't come to me about this. Well, what about Steph Curry? Because that was one of the examples in that article that Bryce posted.
Right.
Listen, we saw what Steph Curry did in the tournament. That's why he got drafted. Had nothing to do with Del Curry. Del Curry couldn't wish 10 times over that he had the career that LeBron James has had.
1% of the pull of LeBron has.
So to sit here and say that was nepotism, come on, dude. Del Curry was a role player his whole career. You really think the Warriors drafted him because, oh, well, your dad's Del Curry? Oh my God. No,
we gotta have you.
Shot, dude. No shot. And he's already 10 times the player dad was.
Yep.
So I take it back. That one wasn't nepotism. That one was not nepotism.
Not even close. So
right. So I don't know. I wish Bryce was here so we could debate about it, but just so I'm clear, that whole Curry thing, that was no. They drafted him because they saw what he was about to do to the league.
Absolutely.
And they were right. Jerry
Hey.
West. I think the great Jerry West, by the way, was part of the Golden State Warriors when they drafted Steph Curry.
He was, and you unfortunately weren't here the week he passed away. He did pass on, just a couple of
Yes.
weeks ago.
No, I know.
So, and even
Fully impressed with that.
Jerry West wouldn't have even fell for that, which is the reason why you see where the Lakers are in the situation they are in. And you are 100% right as far as that is concerned. It's going to be really interesting to see how now. Will they turn it around and make us, liars? I doubt it. I agree with you, Cuervo. It's just one of these things where you're taking a look at what is going on, and by the way, again, I don't think this is a Bronny entitlement. It has nothing to do with Bronny at all.
Bronny,
Not
Bronny
even
did
close.
not bring this on himself.
So that being
Not at
said, we're a little bit over on the time, and I apologize. I want to
Yeah.
get your opinion on one more thing. What do you think? Huh? You know what that picture is?
Very
Right
cool.
up there?
Yeah,
Dogs
you've had
playing
that for
poker.
years.
Dogs playing poker, baby. And now it's going to be, working on the background. That's part of it. So just had to.
Sonny, you've had that, from what I remember, you've had that since I've known you.
It's one of my favorite pictures. I just found a bigger one, because that's further back and it's actually quite big. I've had different versions of it, but that's the big one. I almost framed it. Okay, I almost framed it. It's on a wood frame, but I almost framed it, but I didn't. I just kept it that way. I was going to put a nice frame up on it. So, and now,
I think it looks good just the way it is.
I think it's great. So really quick on the way out will be the last one. If you got a minute to talk about it.
1 minute.
1 minute. 1 minute. What do you think about Stephen A? $25 million. That's what he wants. Interesting. I mean, is that good? Is that bad? Is that indifferent? I mean, 25 million, basically he wants 125 million for a 5-year contract, which is basically what he signs, a $25 million contract. Yeah, how do you like the number? Is it good? I mean, based upon Pat McAfee's making his money, he's only going to get a little raise over McAfee. Does he stay or does he go? And listen, you and I both know Stephen A can make $18.5 million without ESPN. So the fact that he's being offered that, I think that's almost, I'll say it because I don't like him. I think it's a slap in the face in reality based upon what he brings, not his talent, but what he brings to ESPN. What's your take up on that as far as the numbers concerned? Do you like it? And will it happen?
I think if ESPN's willing to pay him 25, I think he needs to do his Stephen A podcast on ESPN. Bring it to ESPN. He's gonna have to work for it, man. Like Pat McAfee didn't just overnight build what he has, and then ESPN's like, okay, cool, we'll pay you 18 million a year. Like McAfee's been doing this.
Yep.
And he's probably been grossly underpaid by who was it, FanDuel that had it before or something like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
So now it's kind of like, all right, now he's getting what his show is worth as far as viewers and listeners and all that stuff. Because Pat McAfee, that's a popular ass show, Sonny.
It is.
There's a lot of people that listen to it, a lot of people that watch it. You don't believe me? Go check the numbers.
Absolutely.
Stephen A's got a podcast too, and I think if something along the lines of, all right, we'll pay you 25, but you're going to bring your show over at ESPN as well. I think it's either going to be that or they'll negotiate. And I think 20 would be a fair number for Stephen A because he does have First Take. He is the ringleader of that show.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have to say that. I just think $20 million or 25 without any additional work involved. I think that might be a bit much.
I think he's more valuable than just $1.5 million more than Pat McAfee based upon those numbers, okay? Or the potential numbers that can come with it based upon him bringing the show and everything else. He brings the show. There's no question. But I and from a business standpoint, I think he's $1.5 million more than Pat McAfee. I think he deserves more. Now, whether it's 6.5 million more, that's the big question on what it is. I would think he's about 3 million better than Pat in reality, based on his longevity on ESPN and what he means to ESPN, what he brings to ESPN. But at the same time, if he gets too big of a head, they'll just cut him off and move on and let Pat McAfee bring it through. And then we'll have all kinds of things being to talk about if that ends up happening.
So are you thinking maybe 22 to 23 million?
I think I would say 22.5.
Okay.
I think about 3 million more instead of 1.5 million more. Give him 3 million more, but at the same time, if he brings that show, which by the way sucks, I've watched it. The ESP Stephen A. Smith stuff. He's not a sports guy. He does everything, and I don't like his takes outside of sports. Now, that being said, I just prefer to listen to sports talk than his political talk. Although,
no, listen, Sonny. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. You jump.
If you like podcasts that they do interviews with the guys or whatever, I think you know this one. I like The Pivot. I'm a fan of The Pivot. That's the one with Ryan Clark, Channing Crowder, and your guy Fred Taylor. Mm-hmm. He's on there too.
Oh, he's not my guy, but yeah, he's
that one. He's a Jaguar, Sonny. That's your guy.
Well, he's a Jaguar, but he's not a Hall of Famer either. But there you go. But
he's in the Jaguar Ring of Honor. He's got.
There you go. I will do that for him. Definitely, we'll do that.
But
for him.
But yeah, go listen to them. Let me, man. The interview they did with Caleb Williams right before the draft. Phenomenal interview. The one that they've done with so many different people. They've done it with they've done like Denzel Washington. I think they've had on there before. So it's not just 100% sports. Like they do entertainment and stuff like that too. So yeah, The Pivot is an awesome podcast to watch. I used to listen to I Am Athlete with Brandon Marshall and Chad Ochocinco was on there for a little while, but now he does his thing with Shannon Sharp.
Right.
Sharp and Chad, they have their own podcast. And I like it. They do quick videos.
Ochocinco.
Yeah, that's a good one too. But man, The Pivot is an awesome podcast. So
interestingly enough, I can't wait for this. I just lost Cuervo. I think he just got up. You can see he just moved and hit it. But that being said, of course, that's the name of the show. What Stephen A. is going to be able to bring to that kind of team will be really interesting for the future. So that being said, catch us next Sunday. I'm not sure what time we're going to be on. Catch it during the week. We'll get you the time when we'll be there. But that being said, we're going to I'm going to bring him back here. There he is. We lost him for a second. What happened there? I saw you move and then you went away.
StreamYard kicked me out. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it said something went wrong. I had to refresh.
So that being said, that's going to do it for us. But I want you to hang online because I got to talk to you about something really quick before we go away. You got a minute for me after the show?
Yeah.
Okay, a minute. He says a minute. All right, so we'll do that. We'll do the minute. We'll get on out of here. Hang on. Don't go anywhere. Just hang out when we'll close down the show. We'll be right back. Well, we'll see you next week. You're on the couch potato. What's your schedule? You looking next week okay or probably not when he thinks that hard?
Maybe not. It's a questionable for me next week.
We'll find out about. Check with us this week and find out what time we'll be on. That's going to do it for the Couch Potato Sports Show. We'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.